They are the race team that is the Yankees or the Cowboys of NASCAR. Hendrick Motorsports with 5-time Jimmy, 4-time Jeff, Popular Jr. and Rising Kane are out to end the drought. You'll see driving on the Great Plains of Kansas like you've never seen before. Today, it's NASCAR on Fox.
Racing day, so loud out here I can't hear a thing. Man, the fans are going wild. And these drivers came to rock, and no place else but Fox knows how to do it NASCAR style. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys. Hey, now here we go, race day. Don't you be going slow. Keep that pedal down on the floor. Push it till the crowd can't take no more. Mid hair since the flag came down. Be here to the last lap around. Worked all week, it's time to play. Gonna get a little bit sideways. Here since the flag came down. Be here to the last lap around. Worked all week, it's time to play. Gonna get a little bit sideways.
We welcome you to the STP 400 on Fox. Here at Kansas Speedway, fall-like weather, temperature in the 50s, the wind gust. They get up to 30, it's cool and cloudy, but the drivers are ready to take it on. Greg Biffle coming in here on a roll, and he's had success before in Kansas. Also, we have some headline drivers who have yet to win. Jeff Gordon, Jimmie Johnson, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, along with Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip, 2-time Daytona 500 winner Michael Waltrip. I'm Chris Myers, and glad you're with us for NASCAR on Fox. Well, you guys having a good time in Kansas? Try the barbecue?
Man, I love the way this area out here has grown up. They got a casino over there. They got restaurants everywhere. They got a soccer. I mean, this place. But, Michael, have you tried their barbecue?
That's not barbecue. They don't even cook sheep here, Chris.
Well,
but I did eat a steak right off turn 2.
That's mutton.
Yeah, all right, mutton head. Let's look at the storylines for
I ate
today.
a steak off turn 2. They got a casino here.
Aside from the weather, the hot race team, the Roush Fenway Fords, the dominance, and you look at the points leader, Greg Biffle coming off the big win in Texas. Matt Kenseth, Daytona 500 winner. He's second in points. Carl Edwards hasn't led a lap yet this year, but a top 10 finish, always a threat. Remember, he was in the chase picture at the end for the championship. But no Ford qualifying in the top 15 for today's race. How much is that an issue?
It's not a concern at all. The talk in the garage area is about how strong these Fords are today. Biffle particularly. People think in the long run, which we see a lot of those long runs on these types of tracks, he's got the car to beat. So it'll be interesting to see if that's right.
I think back to Texas a little bit last week. Carl Edwards had a bad pit stop. Started at the back of the field and worked his way all the way back up to the front. These Fords are fast, and they have a great race package. You know, Kansas won Daytona. Biffle won last weekend. They got the cars. They'll be up there. They'll be some of the guys to beat today for sure.
It'll be fun to watch how many cars they pass. So those guys that have to work their way up to the front. Now, for some teams, right, going 13 races without a win, not a big deal. But for the Hendrick Motorsports team, that is a slump. And waiting on career win 200 for the legendary car owner, his team of Jeff Gordon, Jimmie Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kasey Kahne. Now, they were all in the top 10 last week. They've had good cars, but not in victory lane yet. And that milestone of 200, we've all been waiting. In fact, the last win was Jimmie Johnson for Team Hendrick here in Kansas last fall. So who steps up for them today?
I think Jimmie Johnson does. Look at his car. It's painted green. It has an earthy look to it. And it's Earth Day. I think that is the advantage he's going to need to drive to victory lane. But he's fast, Darrell.
I read something that Roger Penske said. He told Rick, he said, I know how you feel, Rick Hendrick. Roger went 99. He had 99 wins trying to get to 100. It took him 3 years to get that next win, to get to 100. So, Rick, I don't think it's going to take you 3 years. I think you got 4 good chances today. Jimmie Johnson and, I believe, Dale Jr., he is so close.
Yeah, it was nice to have Rick stop by the Hollywood Hotel. Maybe bring a little good luck for his race team today. 13th race here in Kansas. Toyota looking for its first win ever at this track as we get you ready for what's around the turn. We've talked about Greg Biffle a little bit, but the driver of the Sweet 16 will join us live, and he'll talk to us about being on a roll. Jeff Gordon will join us and talk about how he is on cue for a victory. He's been close. Kansas's own Clint Bowyer will take us around this sports-crazed Sunflower State. and the welcome wagon. We've rolled it up for you guys. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. We'll get you ready for this 400-mile race in just a moment. We're glad you're with us for NASCAR on Fox, the pre-race show. The Speedway here located inside Kansas City, Kansas, just outside of Kansas City, Missouri. Not that far down the road from where the Chiefs play at Arrowhead in the NFL. And of course, the Royals play baseball. The All-Star Game, July 10th on Fox. And the driver, who's from Emporia, Kansas, visited the Royals Stadium, among other places, and made this pitch.
Hey everybody, Clint Warrior here. Being that I'm the Kansas kid, allow me to be your tour guide this weekend. You want sports? We got them. But you know what else? We got the best settings in the world to watch them in. No better NFL tailgating scene than right there at Arrowhead. Heck, even Kauffman Stadium is going to be hosting the All-Star Game this season, right here on Fox. Pretty shameless plug there, boys. And then you want to talk about hoops? KU's just up the road from here, baby. Of course, there is those two Kentucky fans, some Waltrip guys. Kansas City's so much fun. Heck, even Missouri had to get in on the action. They claim to have the barbecue capital of the world somewhere in North Carolina. There's no way. It's right here, Kansas City style, baby. But you know, the best thing about Kansas is, hold up, now?
All right, Clint, whenever you're ready, fire away.
That was awesome.
Clint's a good sport for Michael Waltrip Racing. What made you want to hire a guy like that?
Enthusiasm. You can see his attitude. He's an energetic, exciting guy. He's breathed a lot of energy into our team. I'm glad Clint's on it.
And the endorsement extension from 5 Hour Energy, very helpful. Speaking of energy, Kansas, boy, you build a track, everything grows around it.
You know, this race is like winning Daytona to Clint Boyer. He drove by this place when they were building on his way to a dirt track race. It'd really mean a lot to him to win here in Kansas.
Carl Edwards said if they were running 1-2 on the last lap, both Kansas natives, either one of them would probably win.
Yeah, Carl from nearby, Columbia, Missouri, both about an hour 45 away. Speaking of this track, let's take a look. Double Trouble, and this track, Darrell, wide open for discussion.
That's a good way to lead into this. Wide open spaces. You know, you would think a big old wide racetrack like this, man, you couldn't get in trouble here. Look, you go down in the corner, you got plenty of room. Holy cow, Carl, where are you going? That's ugly right there. And then look at this. Synchronized spinning, a lot of room. Stay in the gas, smoke the tires, catch that baby, and keep on going.
And the seams here, we talk about seams on racetracks, and those are a concern. But at Kansas, they're ditches, Chris. Look how wide those things are, a couple inches wide. Race cars ride along on tires that are less than a foot wide. You take away a couple inches of that traction, look what happens. One of the best in the world, Jimmy Johnson, about loses his car because of those cracks in the track. Those ditches.
You could use a rudder.
Yeah,
almost.
He did that seamlessly.
Seamlessly. Field of seams. By the way, a night race coming to Kansas. We know the repaving as soon as this race is over. 40-year-old Jeff Gordon, he loves this place and other tracks that have similar worn-out surfaces. And although Gordon is 17th in the standings at the moment, he's coming off his best finish of the year. And Jeff, over the years, has provided us with a lot of excitement, and he's not done yet.
Here comes Big Daddy. Jeff Gordon in that 24 car.
He's a renewed Jeff Gordon. He's as smooth as fine wine around this place.
Now that's a big mistake.
He is the money man.
Back in June of 2001, Jeff Gordon scored Hendrick's 100th Sprint Cup victory. And Jeff, what's going to be the biggest challenge today for you and the rest of the fleet trying to score the latest milestone?
Yeah, you know, for us, we just continue to qualify, you know, mid-pack or towards the back and, you know, making up that ground. So last week at Texas, we had the race car, just didn't get the cautions. In Martinsville, we had the track position and didn't want the cautions. So, you know, I think really it's just about our team, this Drive to End Hunger Chevrolet, just continuing to put races together solidly and consistently. The race cars have just been phenomenal. This is one of my favorite racetracks here in Kansas. So enjoy the last moments of this this worn-out pavement and utilize the multiple grooves that it has right now to try to work ourselves up from 20th all the way to the front. And it's going to happen on the track as well as on pit road.
Not a scouting session for the chase. It's all about the trophy today, Chris.
Well, and well put in that regard. 34th started last week, finished 4th. He's starting 20th today.
You know what he's looking for more than a win? R-E-S-P-E-C-T. He's looking for some respect. Flipped over at Daytona, crashed out at Bristol, run over at Martinsville. He just needs some respect. He's got fast cars. He just needs a day where nothing goes wrong.
but I like what Daryl said, fast cars. That'll pay off, especially here at Kansas. Look for Jeff to be strong.
All right, maybe feeling a little of that win 200 for Rick Hendrick.
Little pressure,
Motorsports.
little
Yeah,
pressure.
Little pressure added.
Look how happy he looks, though.
Greg Biffle, though, the hot driver coming in. These are some of the guys who are looking for their first win of the season. We'll continue here in just a moment.
Now, we switch gears to Kansas, where 1 year ago, Bad Brad took the checkered. Smoke has 2 wins. Will Junior, Jimmy, or Carl bring it home today? Or will the Biff continue to thrive in 2012? You gotta watch to find out.
We're back in the Hollywood Hotel. 42-year-old Greg Biffle put his car where the points are. He's trying to be that first driver ever to win the championship in NASCAR's Top 3 Series. And, of course, last week in Texas, he threw caution to the wind, passing Jimmy Johnson for the win, making a bold statement and widening his points lead.
I tell you, Greg Biffle's kind of got an attitude right now.
The Biff is back.
And this team is on a roll.
Woohoo! Look at this man go. This is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack.
He doesn't ride. He races all the time.
And we have the driver, the 16-3M Ford with us, and congrats on the run, Greg. Thanks for being with us. Does a win like you had in Texas, does that bring the attention to you that you feel like you've deserved all along?
Well, I think so, and it brings a lot of relief because, you know, the people aren't saying, when are you going to win next? Or when, you know, it's been 49 races or 45 or whatever. So we're excited about that. I'm excited for the guys on the team. First time win for a lot of these guys on this 16 team, and really excited for them.
Hey, Greg, it's DW. You got to win. You're leading the points, and you've got some good teammates over there at Roush. But does the statistics make you the '1 driver at Roush right now?
Well, I think, you know, if you look at the stats on the points, but, you know, it's been, I was told in the media center earlier that the 99 team was the premier team at Roush Fenway. So I was surprised by that. But anyway, we're all real equal drivers. I said it, Matt, Carl, and I'll tell you what, we all three have a little bit different driving style, but we're all three, I think, you know, top of our game in this sport.
I love your attitude, brother. I love your attitude.
Greg, it's MW. Attitude makes a difference, and that pass you pulled off at Texas, that was a pass with attitude. 175 miles an hour, passing 5 times sideways. What'd you think about that when you came out the other end? You weren't wrecked.
I'm glad it worked, is what I was thinking. You know what? I felt good passing, you know, anybody, but, you know, Jimmy, 5-time champion. You know, I had to get it done. Right then was my chance, and I felt pretty good about the pass and better about the win.
Well, good luck here today. I know you had plotted out some things for the first portion of the season. You're ahead of schedule. And it's really nice, too, Greg, that you're involved in the American Dental Association. The program is Give Kids a Smile. It promotes brushing and flossing and good dental hygiene. So, and I know you wore braces. Proud of that your teeth are looking good.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Appreciate it for having me.
All right, take care. We appreciate Greg being with us.
Back to back today, buddy. Back to back.
Thank you, buddy.
And
I'm working on it.
Cars in today's race, they carry an assortment of colors. This week, key color is green. You remember in NASCAR? Yes, I'll tell you why. They issued a white paper memo about environmental initiatives, and Miss Sprint Cup is here to tell us why it's easy to be green.
You've got used to seeing us in our black and our white fire suits, but this weekend we've changed up our paint scheme in recognition of Earth Day and Sprint's commitment to the environment. Are you guys digging our new colors? Right now, we're encouraging NASCAR fans to trade in their old phones with Sprint buyback program to keep phones out of landfills. Bring in your old phone to any Sprint store and get a credit towards your new phone, even if it's from another carrier. Also, now through May 17th, if you switch to Sprint, you'll receive a $50 credit. So visit sprint.com/buyback for more details or visit your local Sprint store. Make sure you tweet us at Miss Sprint Cup or right on our Facebook page and tell us how you're supporting Earth Day. Now enjoy today's racing live from Kansas on Fox.
All right, thank you, and happy Earth Day. Richard Petty, there's, you know, that Petty blue, a mixture of the 57 Chevy white and 56 Dodge blue color, came out pretty good. We'll have more in a moment.
Does good for the show.
There's Tony Stewart ready to go 400.5 miles here in Kansas. Almost looks like winter with the cool temperatures and the breeze kicking up a little bit. This past Tuesday, the 2011 champ was honored by the president at the White House. Stewart, joined by 11 other drivers who made up the chase for the Sprint Cup, and they, the drivers, tweeted those photos. You saw Junior with a tie, and when you're the champ in NASCAR, like Tony Stewart, you get a great parking spot right out in front at the White House. 43 of America's best drivers, most of them you're familiar with. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr. But over the past 10 races, only Tony Stewart has earned more points than this next guy. Now see if you can recognize who is emerging from the shadows.
I won back-to-back nationwide championships. I'm a huge sports fan, especially anything Philadelphia related. Before I was a race car driver, I worked for the family business on a clam boat. I'm Martin Truex Jr. It's been a great start to the season for our Napa team. We're just not making mistakes. We're finishing how we run. Obviously, when you have fast cars, you're always looking forward to the next race. You know, I'm really just re-energized this year because of this team and the stuff they're giving me and how much fun we've been having. Chad Johnson is doing a great job as crew chief. We've just really clicked. He's a guy that really grew up kind of the same way I did. You know, a family race team. Him and his dad would go race sprint cars together. He honestly believes that I'm the best driver out there on the racetrack, and I honestly believe he's the best crew chief in this garage, and that's what makes it work for us. I do want to get back to victory lane, obviously. It's been way too long, and I know it's going to happen soon. I didn't even know it was 174 races, so, I mean, I don't keep up with that stat. I feel like if we can just put ourselves in position the way we've been doing it, our wins are going to come. And, you know, in the past, I've been in position to win races. I've dominated races. I've led a lot of laps, and we've just never been able to close the deal. It's a lot more fun coming to the racetrack knowing you've got cars fast enough to win, and I feel like we're going to get there soon.
You think he's really ignoring that 174 races without a win stat?
When you're 20, you don't pay much attention to it. When you're 25, maybe a little bit. When you get to be 30, you start marking those weekends off on your calendar. But I love this guy. He's a blue-collar racer. Glad he's getting a chance to show what he can do.
He wanted to race a car so bad, he worked on a clam boat. He did anything he could to get in a race car, and it's paying off now. Good, hard-working guy.
He's a racer.
Watch for him now. Let's go to Gas and Go.
Here we go.
You have questions. They have all the answers, and you're on the clock. All right, Tony Stewart, the only driver to have 2 wins in the first 7 races this season, yet he's 7th in points. What's wrong with this picture?
No, nothing. He's fine. He was the king of mile and a half. He just struggled last week at Texas. Today will be a big test. See how they do today. He and Newman both, but Tony Stewart's the man. He's got the best team.
When you win races, though, shouldn't you be up at the top like the way we finished last year? He had to win races to win the championship.
Yeah, but this is a body of work for 26 races. You got to be consistent and win races to be in the chase. He gets in the chase, he really makes things happen there.
Okay, Michael, Kevin Harvick just 1 win in his last 31 races, but he's 5th in points. Was a chase driver last year. How would you gauge his season so far? He's on the front row today.
Yeah, very fast. Anytime Harvick qualifies up front, look for him to be really strong during the race. I like what the team's doing. Scott Miller moved over from his team to our team. They doesn't seem to miss a beat, so that bodes well for Childress's organization and his direction of that team.
All right, let's move on here for both of you. And Darrell, we'll start with you. There is the perception the drivers are too nice out there on the track, especially this year. Lead changes down, cautions are down, wrecks are down. What do you think?
Nobody wants to be the bad guy. Everybody wants everybody to like them. They don't want any conflict. They don't want any issues. They just all want to get along. That's great if you're Boy Scouts.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, when a driver says, "I'm glad they raced me cleanly," yeah.
I don't like that. Let's scramble. Let's mix it up a little bit. We need some more cautions. We need some more action, and I think Darrell's exactly right. Everybody's trying to tiptoe through these first races. You need to get your feet under you here early in the season. I think they'll loosen up some.
I had one driver tell me, "So I just don't want to put my team through that, the controversy."
Well, that's part of the game.
I just want to get that trophy
That's
myself.
right. And look, Biffle, the win. Look what a win does for you. Ask Biffle about that. All right, Darrell, Carl Edwards, Casey Kane, they've yet to lead a lap this season. You think we'll see at least a portion of that streak end today?
Boy, those are 2 powerhouse teams, and their teammates are doing pretty darn good. Those guys have got to get on it, though. You got to get up there. They got the speed. This cat right here, Casey Kane, he's got the speed. He got a good finish last week. That could be the start of something good for him.
And he won the truck race on Sunday down in Rockingham. He comes in here on a lot of momentum.
Got a little momentum.
Okay, speaking of momentum here, I know Joe Gibbs Racing looking for some as well. Kyle Busch starts 25th. Joey Logano had an engine problem. We know Hamlin has won this year, and Toyota hasn't won at this track. Who do you like today? You guys have a favorite for today's race?
I'm going for Earth Day guy, Jimmy Johnson in that green car.
I'm going for the guy that drives the 16 car. I tell you, I like his attitude. I think he's going back-to-back today.
All right, and he's the points leader, the widest gap in terms of the points lead so far this year. That's what a win did for Greg Biffle. Can he do it here in Kansas? Darrell heads up to the play-by-play booth. Michael and I will hang out at the Hollywood Hotel, and we hope you stay tuned for the start of the race from Kansas. And we welcome you back to Kansas Speedway, getting ready for the start of the STP 400. A.J. Allmendinger in a Dodge is on the pole. No pole sitter has won this year. Kevin Harvick also on the front row. Kyle Busch looking for his first win of the year. Let's head trackside for opening ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the 4th Infantry Brigade Combat Team Color Guard out of Fort Riley, Kansas presents our nation's colors. Here to sing our national anthem, please welcome Kansas native Jeremy Vitt.
Let's pray. O God of grace and love, here and now we claim your promise of presence. Please help us through the starts, stops, and cautions of our lives. Please give safety to drivers, crews, staff, and fans. Please bless the men and women of our armed forces who serve to keep us safe. In the grace and power of God, I pray. Amen.
And now to sing our national anthem, please welcome Kansas native Jeremy Vitt.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallant and glee streaming, and the rockets a red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Which of the 4 qualifiers will finish best in today's race? The top 4. Text FAST to 34763 or go to AT&T FastestDriver.com. You'll have a chance to win 4 Gs, $4,000. You can play every week and watch for tweets from Michael Waltrip during the race. Brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network. Rethink possible. Drivers anxious to get rolling in the STP 400 here in Kansas. Today's University of Farmers report about safety. Let's check in with Jeff Hampton.
NASCAR's #1 focus is safety. And a lot of that focus goes into the driver's cockpit and the cars. As you can see by the construction of the car and the cockpit area, NASCAR has done a lot of work to protect these drivers, but it doesn't stop there, folks. It also goes to the track itself, and I'm talking about the safer barrier. Since its inception, it has really helped a lot of these drivers because when they make these high-speed impacts, it dissipates the energy so the driver doesn't feel it. Think about Danica Patrick's crash in Daytona. That allowed her to walk away. And in the event of a hard crash like that, damage to the safer barrier, these tracks have to be prepared to make repairs at a moment's notice. And you can see here, Kansas Speedway is ready to do that. Their safety team can get things repaired at a moment's notice and continue with the race.
Thanks, Jeff, as always. And that's a look at the barriers here in Kansas. Kids from Victory Junction are the grand marshals for today's STP 400. Victory Junction, a charity that helps out kids with medical conditions or serious illness.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome our Victory Junction Camp ambassadors.
Gentlemen, your agents!
Saw some of the Hendrick drivers. 3,000 starts for Rick Hendrick Motorsports. Will he get win number 200 today? There's a lot on the line here in Kansas. We're glad you're watching NASCAR on Fox.
This could be big.
Fight your way to the finish and get out of town.
Kansas Speedway. Expect the unexpected.
Along with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers here in the Hollywood Hotel getting ready for the start of the STP 400 at Kansas Speedway. Brad Keselowski won this race last year, but it was warmer. We see the wind kicking up. What do the cooler temperatures mean for today's race?
The cooler temperatures means fast speeds. These cars love cool air. The tires stick better, the motors run better, so these guys are going to be going faster than ever before.
And Biffle made a statement last race. Who's the statement maker today?
Jimmy Johnson's been trying to make a statement ever since he wrecked on lap 1 at Daytona. I think in his earthy green car, he gets it done today on Earth Day.
The guys who bring you the race every weekend, Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy from the booth. Mike, it was Biffle ending that 49 race winless streak. Maybe today, Junior, Truex Jr., or A.J. Allmendinger looking for his first win of his career.
Well, true, Chris. There are a lot of those streaks that are looking to be broken. And you look at this racetrack, Darrell, how wide it is, how you've got all kinds of room to race and work with, and yet people keep finding the wall and having a lot of challenges to run 400 miles here today.
I think we've pointed out several of them, Mike. One thing is the wind's picked up a little bit. The grip level here is really low. It's hard to get a lot of grip. Tires fall off fast. The cracks in the track. The thing about this track, you're always looking for a different line, a better line. Maybe it's on the bottom, maybe it's on the top. But this track is very challenging, and it's hard to get your rhythm here. It's hard to get that rhythm and stay in it.
Well, last year, Larry, both Kansas races were won from outside the top 15 starting positions. 25th for this race, 19th for the fall race.
Yeah, when we drop this green flag on this 400-mile race, we'll be focused on those drivers at the front of the pack. But because of the way qualifying went yesterday, it got very slick during that session. We've got some drivers like Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart, starting outside the top 20. I promise you, we drop the green, they're going to be going to the front. And the good thing about the wide open spaces of this racetrack, you can do it with a fast race car. You don't have to do it with strategy.
There's going to be some comers and some goers based on the way the qualifying schedule was.
All right, should be fun to watch here for 400 miles. Let's have a look at the Geico starting grid for today's race. A.J. Allmendinger wins his second career pole. Kevin Harvick has his 5th top 10 start of the season. Joey Logano, who had engine trouble in practice, will have to go to the rear after posting a great qualifying run. His teammate Denny Hamlin, 3rd last year here, is alongside. Mark Martin, the 2009 winner, finished 3rd last week. And Martin Truex, top 10 finishes in the last 4 races for Mark's teammate. Dale Earnhardt Jr., runner-up here a year ago, and the hometown favorite is Clint Bowyer. Casey Kane, 7th at Texas, winner at Rockingham in the trucks last week. Sam Hornish Jr. returns to Cup. He was an IndyCar winner here. Brad Keselowski, last year's winner, along with Jeff Burton. They're in row number 6. Ryan Newman, who won here in 2003, and Kurt Busch, solid last week in Texas. Jimmy Johnson, 2 Kansas wins. It's been 13 races since that victory. David Rudiman, best start of the season for Rudy. Greg Biffle is our point leader, a 2-time Kansas winner. And Matt Kenseth, his teammate, with top 10s in the last 3 Kansas races. Paul Menard and Jeff Gordon, who won the first 2 races at Kansas, and that's your top 20. You have a look at the rest of the Geico starting grid as Darrell gets on the horn.
Hey, Kevin Harvick, it's DW. Got a copy there, buddy?
All right, old timer.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that very much. Hey, great qualifying run, first of all. Looks like the car is fast.
Yeah, I tell you, Daryl, we didn't expect to qualify as good as we did. We struggled on both of our qualifying runs, and the guys did a good job of making some good adjustments, but pretty happy with the car and race trim. Hopefully we can put a whole day together. The cars have been fast, and put it all together and compete for the win today.
Does this track present any particular challenges to you today, Kevin?
The weather being a little bit different is going to be a little bit different challenge for basically what we set up for, was expecting the weather to be a little warmer. So we adjusted to that. You know, the tires fall off a lot, so, you know, you won't run the bottom of the racetrack. It's just a matter of when you move up and if that top groove goes away, so we'll see.
All right, my friend, have a great day. You've been good on these 1.5 miles. Show us what you got.
10-4, thank you, sir.
Kevin Harvick starting outside pole. A.J. Allmendinger stopped on the back straightaway with his Dodge, perhaps to re-index his steering wheel. Whatever the reason he stopped, he's back and moving up back into his pole position. Let's go to pit road. Chris Devoda.
Mike, 130 miles. That's the distance between this racetrack and Carl Edwards' home in Columbia, Missouri. He actually drove here to the track this week. Now, he's been very good here, 5 straight top 10s, but he hasn't won in a Cup car at the Kansas Speedway. And he says, right or wrong, he is putting more emphasis on himself, more pressure here than at any other racetrack. If he is in victory lane, you can bet it will be emotional. Dick Berggren?
Well, Tony Stewart is a master of the 1.5 mile track, just like this one. But practice and qualifying didn't go well for Tony, and as a result, he is going to start in the 23rd position. Not to worry, he has won twice here at Kansas, once from 21st. So as Larry Mack said, keep your eye on that number 14, because when the green flag drops, he's going to the front. Matt Yoakum.
Dick, Greg Biffle's chasing a milestone of his own. Only one time in his Sprint Cup Series career has he scored back-to-back wins, and that was back in 2008. Biffle has a great car, starts mid-pack. His biggest concern, starting mid-pack, keeping the ears on the dog, meaning taking care of those fenders when all those cars fan out 2, 3, maybe even 4 wide, chasing for position. Steve Burns?
Well, Matt, 80 miles, the distance from Clint Boyer's hometown of Emporia, Kansas, and the Kansas Speedway. He raced at a little track called Lakeside Speedway near here and watched this track being built, dreaming of one-day racing here. That dream obviously has come true. The next step is to win. His crew chief, Brian Patty, says they have got to manage the tires on the car once they experience some fall-off. Jeff Hammond?
Well, Steve Burns, I've got myself a great location here today. And when you think about Dale Earnhardt Jr., he's got a pretty good one, too, starting 7th. But what's impressive, folks, is his performance over 2011. Qualifying, he's almost 10 positions better starting. Finishes, he's almost 3 positions better. He's 3rd in points currently, and the team told me, well, they've got a special win set up today. And me, along with the guys from the National Guard, well, they feel like they're going to be able to take aim on victory lane today on that 88 car.
Boy, Hammond's got to be right at home, tuning on a tank.
I was going to say, just don't let him work on it.
One lap, and we'll be racing in Kansas. Today's race brought to you by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, fast finish. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. As we get ready to race, we have thoughts from some of NASCAR's top drivers on how this season has progressed so far.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, there's nothing like winning.
Historically, you've never got this kind of a jump on the season.
Kind of solidifies us as a challenger for the title.
I'm pretty proud of how everything's going so far.
Our season quite hasn't been what we want it to be yet.
We've not won a race this season, which is frustrating.
Felt like we're in the mix every race, and just things had happened.
I feel like we're right on the verge of breaking through, getting that first win.
You know, definitely got to get ourselves back in victory lane.
A lot of drivers on the win one soon list as we come to Kansas. Well, the weather has turned. Yesterday was high 70s, not a cloud in the sky, and beautiful. The clouds are here. The temperature will not see 60 degrees. I think the wind came from Texas straight to Kansas, much like our production trucks did. Cool and cloudy today.
It's just nippy out there, Mike. I rode around here from the Hollywood Hotel, and man, you need a jacket.
267 laps the distance today.
Pit road speed 45 miles per hour. The field window 48 to 52 laps.
And one car to the rear, Joey Logano, who never made a full lap in the first practice session before they discovered engine trouble. So he was the first car to qualify, and he was on pole for most of the session before getting bounced back to third. And he drops to the tail of the field.
I love it, Mike. All the fans are on their feet. They're clapping. They're cheering. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Mark Martin did not get a great stop. Denny Hamlin drops to the bottom, and the dinger. Trying to score his first Sprint Cup win, and wants to do it right from the start by leading lap 1. Allmendinger. 3 car lengths to the good on Harvick going down the back straightaway. Hamlin jumps up into third. From the outside, Bowyer in the 5th position. Single file come the first half dozen, and Allmendinger will lead the first lap in Kansas.
You know, Mike, we had rain here last night. A pretty good rain shower. Really cleaned the track off. Pretty green out there right now. It's going to be a lot of grip for a while.
Mike, you talked about A.J. Allmendinger in the 22 trying to win his very first Sprint Cup Series win. Remember how close he came a couple of races ago, finished second at Martinsville to Ryan Newman.
His teammate Brad Keselowski, last year's winner, and a third Penske car. That's the number 12 for Sam Hornish. Those Dodges nose to tail, 9th and 10th place ahead of Jeff Burton.
I tell you what, the start of this race was just a little bit messed up. Something happened to Harv there. You see him on the outside pole. They dropped the green flag, and I think he just spun his tires really bad. Larry just couldn't get going.
Yeah, you could see the back of the car wiggle the minute he tried to get it up to speed.
And, of course, you see what it did to the guys behind him. It really backed them up.
Right there, you could see it.
You saw Mark Martin have to get out of the throttle, and Dale Jr. That backed up that inside line considerably. Allmendinger is waiting for no one. The battle's behind him for second place. Denny Hamlin bringing his Toyota inside of Harvick's Chevrolet, and then settles back up in the high groove.
Looks like they didn't lose the notebook from last year here, Larry, because that 22 car pretty much took off the same way here last year.
Here comes Hamlin again.
Yeah, with Kurt Busch driving it.
Kurt Busch is behind the wheel.
And again, Hamlin's good into the corner, but not as fast coming off the corner as the 29.
Yeah, you get behind somebody, you get a little bit of that dirty air, you lose the nose a little bit, and the car will push out, and you got to lift out of the throttle, or you're going to hit the wall.
Teammates, 4th and 5th, Martin Truex and Clint Bowyer, both in Toyotas.
Martin Truex Jr., we're looking at him right there in that blue 56 car. Of course, qualified in 6th, running 4th. Only one driver in the last 10 races has scored more points than Martin Truex Jr. That's our current champion, Tony Stewart,
who has 2 wins.
That is Matt Kenseth on the outside. The number 17 Ford passing Ryan Newman and going to work on the 31 of Jeff Burton. Burton looks under Jimmy Johnson. If that looks like a strange color on Jimmy's Chevrolet, that's Earth Day. A special color used by Chevrolet only in 1967 and offered on all their cars but Corvette that year. Little nostalgia, little muscle car era. We got some muscle at the front here because Allmendinger has held this lead now through the first 6 laps and shows no sign of giving it up.
Well, yes and no. I think Harvick's closing a little. I think Harvick went to the top. Allmendinger, spotter or himself, saw Harvick going to the top. Allmendinger all of a sudden went around the top and picked up a little bit of speed. Harvick was really coming there for a minute, though.
And here comes Kurt Busch, who knows the way to victory lane here. He's in a Chevy now, and he's underneath Sam Hornish.
And we talked about how wide this racetrack is, and there's a good example. I mean, there's enough room in these turns for 5 wide if you wanted to. But the bottom, you get a little shorter route around the bottom. You get a little bit more speed around the top, off the corner. Watch the difference here in acceleration. Kurt on the bottom, 12 car Sam Hornish on the top. Hornish gets that great straightaway speed.
Now, Hornish has an IndyCar win here, and he's available to run this race because the series he runs in full-time, the Nationwide Series, off this week. So Roger Penske's team brought a 3rd Dodge here for Sam.
And that sponsor on his car, that's one of Roger's longtime IndyCar sponsors, a great company, does a lot of work with Penske.
8 laps complete. Joey Logano's gained 14 spots. Montoya 11. And Montoya's teammate at Chip Ganassi, McMurray, has picked up 9. Like you said, Larry, a lot of those cars starting out back, they're headed to the front and they're fast enough to get there.
Yeah, if you went late in the qualifying session yesterday, exception being A.J. Allmendinger and Kevin Harvick that was on the front row, the racetrack just lost so much grip.
That was some down-to-earth shots right there.
Boy, Jeff Gordon, Jeff Burton battle. Carl Edwards looking in.
And this is, look at this, 3 great drivers right here, and they are battling hard right now. Watch this, he's going to get a little bump. Jeff Burton's going to run up there and give Jeff Gordon a bump, and you know what that is? That's a message. But in the meantime, here comes Carl on the bottom, Carl Edwards in the 99. Burton was telling Gordon.
Oh, they almost touched. And at these speeds, that could be dramatic.
I think Burton was trying to tell Gordon, you need to go on to get out of my way. And so Jeff picked it up a little bit.
Let's see how close that really was from our aerial coverage.
Let's see the 3 of them right here together. Here Burton just is saying, come on, man, you hold me up, slid right up in front of me, give me some room.
Martin Truex on the move. Brings the 56 to 4th place. No, here comes Hamlin right back on the bottom. And Truex prevails, wound up on the high side. Steve Burns.
Mike, the early report from Denny Hamlin is that his car is tight in the center,
But Darrell, you said it, because this racetrack got rained on and the rubber was washed off. That could be why it's not turning right now. Got to wait till some rubber gets down.
Yeah, this track, it's got a lot of grip in it right now because it's clean, but then you get some rubber in it, and then you'll find a groove you can run in.
Let's go back to that pass, Darrell. They did not touch. Let's see how close they were.
Push, 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 push. Loose.
Yeah.
But Carl Edwards in the 99, if he didn't yank that steering wheel, he was going to be up in the side of Jeff Burton in the 31.
And it's just a little bit early for that kind of aggressiveness.
"12 laps complete. A.J. Allmendinger from California, driving Roger Penske's Dodge, has led them all.
The STP 400 on Fox is sponsored by STP. Get the most out of your engine. By Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And by Farmers. We are insurance. We are farmers.
18 green flag laps complete in front of a pretty full grandstand here at Kansas. Everybody enjoying the race as A.J. Allmendinger has led every lap. Now he's held off Kevin Harvick, but that's allowed Martin Truex to close right up on the top duo. And Michael Waltrip, a bunch of high rollers in these top 3 spots, and I'm not talking about that casino outside turn 2. It's about their love of the high groove.
Yeah, when you think of guys that like it up top, Kevin Harvick is the first guy that comes to mind, and the dude running third there, Truex, he loves to run the high line. Talked to him about Texas last week. I said, why didn't you ever go high? He said it wasn't there. The bottom was better. On the other hand, Mark Martin loves the bottom. He finished third at Texas. He's going to have to adapt his driving style, get used to riding high, because that looks like today it's where you're going to have to be.
Mark Martin now running 8th, 9th, 10th with the Chevys of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Mark's the rock between a couple of hard places right there.
We're riding with Jimmy Johnson right now in the 48 car, started in the 13th position. I talked to his crew chief, Chad Knaus, last night, and they were actually very proud of their qualifying run because he all but wrecked on lap 1 and recovered very nicely, which was hard to do on that second lap.
Well, he owned this joint last year here. That's one thing.
Jeff Gordon trying to close up on point leader Greg Biffle, while Kurt Busch, former winner here, continues to impress, running top 15. Let's get back to that 9th place battle of Mark Martin versus Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, I think Jimmy really feels like Mark's holding him up now. Jimmy got a great run off turn 2 that time. Mark closed the door on him. Jimmy's a little quicker. It'd be most like Mark Martin to pull over out of the way here and let Jimmy go.
Side by side in 2.
You'll see Mark right here. He'll let Jimmy come up and he'll take that position away from him.
Why, Darrell, do you do that? Why do you just let somebody go? Why not race them hard?
Well,
for a couple of laps.
You remember back to Vegas when Mark slid up in front of Dale Jr. and Dale Jr. pounded him?
Yes.
See, Mark has a. Everybody knows what a driver's, what his reputation is, what he does and doesn't do on the racetrack. Mark has a reputation for getting out of your way. So I think what happened in Vegas with Dale Jr. and him is Mark didn't get out of the way, and Dale Jr. kind of pounded him. But there you see that's a normal Mark Martin move right there. And here you go. Got a battle up here. Got a lap car in the way.
That's David Stremme in the 30 being lapped by Allmendinger. Harvick staying very close in the 29, and then Truex. He'll go around Stremme on the outside. Matt Yoakum.
And Martin Truex Jr. trying to score his first top 10 here at Kansas. He's running the high line where he expected. He also said he was concerned about those seams like Michael documented in the pre-race show. They're much narrower here. The car, though early on, is tight. That's who's reporting back to the team.
And, you know, Mike, a lot of the drivers have said, man, I hate they're going to repave this. They just need to think about Daytona. We've had some of the best racing I've ever seen at Daytona since the repave. Got to think about Vegas. They redesigned the track. Best race we've seen there ever. Think about Homestead. They redesigned the track, repaved it. Great racing there now. This place will come alive when they put that progressive banking in and get a new surface on it.
Greg Biffle is the point leader. He's got the respect that he has been seeking with that victory in Texas. Everybody sees him as a target right now, while Jeff Gordon tries to battle him for position. 13th. Gordon has come from 20th. Another driver who's come through the field is Joey Logano. Had a fast car in qualifying, held the pole through most of the session. Logano started out back to that engine change. He's come to 28th, Krista.
Right now, Mike just complaining that the car is getting tight in the center and on exit, but he said his entry is very solid. Like you said, they know they have a good car. They said they lost a little time in that practice making that engine change, but they're very happy with how far they've come.
Well, we're more than halfway through this fuel run, and that's going to make these cars for the drivers not turn quite as much because it's starting to burn off that fuel in the back.
26 laps complete in the STP 400 on Fox.
No, next question.
The STP 400 on Fox is sponsored by Ford, proud sponsor of NASCAR, and by Coca-Cola. It's time to refuel. Coca-Cola, open happiness.
33 laps complete. Allmendinger still your leader. Here are your Ford F-150 EcoBoost track facts. Ford has 3 Sprint Cup wins here, the last one coming in the fall of 2010 by Greg Biffle, and Ford has led the point standings after 6 of this year's 7 races. Going to Foothill Ford tomorrow. Pick up my new F-150 EcoBoost. Can't wait. Neat truck. Allmendinger has led at Kansas for the first time. He's led 34 circuits. He led a bunch of laps at Bristol, 50-some. Harvick had closed as Allmendinger worked lap traffic, but here's what happens. Watch Martin Truex coming into view from the bottom of the screen in the 56.
He tried to dive bomb it down in there, DW, but of course he paid the price on the exit of the corner.
And that's the contrast between a low line and a high line. You get such a great run off the corner unless you really put a big slide job on that guy when you go down in there. He's always going to have the momentum coming up off the corner. Take your line away.
You know, Darrell, that was just a little bit of frustration from Truex. He's way faster than Harvick, but he can't go anywhere. So he dives to the bottom to see if he can make the pass, make it stick. He makes a lot of ground on the entry. Can he hold it coming off? And this is a great example of why they're paving this joint, Darrell. It's a one-groove track about right next to the wall. They put some progressive baking on it, then maybe we can see some side-by-side. Oh, wait a minute. We're seeing it now. Look at these two.
Harvick wasn't going to stand for any of that. He went right back to the bottom after Truex once again. We know that high groove is fast off the corner, and that cements second place for now for Martin Truex.
Yeah, Truex ended up exactly where he wanted to be up top, and then he could get that run through 1 and 2.
Well, Michael said that Truex is a lot faster. You know how much a lot faster is? 1/10. He's 1/10 quicker than Harvick, and that's the difference.
So now with Truex in second, is Allmendinger's lead in jeopardy after 37 laps?
Oh, I think old Napa Know-how's on a hunt right here. I believe he's got something for him.
.38 laps complete. Pit stops coming up in another dozen to 18 laps or so, and for drivers like Jeff Burton and some of the others that have drifted back, that stop can't come soon enough.
And a lot like Texas last week, the give up on the stopwatch over the course of a run with tires, once a leader starts hitting pit road, you can't be far behind.
We'll take a pit stop and be back for theirs. 38 laps complete in Kansas.
Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buns.
43 laps complete, and for the lead, Martin Truex comes after A.J. Allmendinger, but he's headed for pit road. He will be about the 8th car in, as some of those that had trouble coming to pits early, like Jeff Burton, Jamie McMurray, and Clint Boyer.
I think, is that Dale Jr. that just missed pit road? Dale Jr. was trying to get on pit road and missed it.
And Darrell, that's not hard to do here because the entrance is almost dead in the middle of turn 4, just past it.
Saw a bunch of guys really smoking them, getting down in there, trying to carry as much speed as possible, but the 88 missed pit road.
Matt?
And the 56 of Martin Truex's biggest complaint, the car was slightly tight. Air pressure change on the 56. Of A.J. Allmendinger, our pulsator, just start yelling on the radio, out of gas, out of gas, out of gas. Meanwhile, the 16 of Biffle is in. Significant chassis adjustment for Biffle. His car had really gone, losing the nose, no grip. And the 22 making his way still down to his pit box. And the 29 of Harvick is in, bad angle, big chassis adjustment, trying to keep up with his race car. They didn't do as well last week, trying to do a better job this week. Big track bar adjustment, the car absolutely no grip for Harvick. To Steve.
And Denny Hamlin hits pit road, Matt. He says that his car is tight on throttle, but really tight on exit. They've made a slight adjustment for Denny Hamlin to correct that problem. Jimmy Johnson saying, my car is really sensitive on entry around other cars and loose coming off of turn 4, wedge out, and a track bar adjustment for Jimmy Johnson.
Regan Smith came around trying to pick up a lap, as Carl Edwards did lead a lap and then comes to make his stop.
That's the first lap that Carl Edwards has led in 2012. Krista.
And Larry Mack, we have documented how badly Carl wants to win at this racetrack. They're making an air pressure adjustment and adding some tape adjustment on the grill as well for the 4-tire stop.
First round of pit stops now completed, but for David Reagan, who stays out trying to pick up a lap, and Martin Truex has cycled back around to the front spot. Regan Smith completes his service and gets back out. Now, is there a problem on board?
I think there is. I saw him go by here. I saw fire come out the tailpipe, and it looks like he's slowing down to me. What do they say, Steve Burns?
Well, Darrell, I haven't heard exactly, but I can tell you this. Half of their crew has already run back into the garage area. They think it's an engine problem.
Yeah, it's definitely lost his cylinder. I saw a big ball of fire come out of it, like he lost his cylinder. But, man, look at this right here. Holy smokes. No, he's not in that crowd.
Edwards trying to knife his way through traffic. Here comes Biffle on the bottom.
Look at these guys slicing and dicing. Boy, when you put new tires on, Larry, it lights them up.
Well, you got a lot of our lead lap drivers that's fighting and clawing through a lot of these drivers that are 1 or more laps down right there.
Truex holds a 4-second lead on Harvick. Then Casey Kane, Keselowski, and Hamlin. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was 8th before the pit stops. Missing pit road, he quickly got right back up to speed, came around again, and only lost 3 positions with that miscue. Earnhardt's currently 11th. A.J. Allmendinger had been the leader and came in to this pit stop for his AAA team.
Yeah, if something is really, really slow here, they take a long time.
Well, I think it threw the crew's rhythm off because Greg Biffle was about to leave his pit box in the 16, and A.J. Allmendinger almost had to stop, let Greg go by, and then into his box, and that actually throws the crew off and getting their work done.
They were holding him, Larry. I full of fuel.
Now here's Biffle coming out, and you're right, Allmendinger
I saw
had to wait and come in.
He had this problem coming in, but then they held him an extra couple of seconds. You know, they have that fueling issue that they've been dealing with, and apparently, you know, they held him to be sure they get that thing topped off.
I think it threw the timing of the gas man off too, Larry, when they had to stutter there, and maybe he was a little late getting that first can done.
And honestly, you do not want to leave pit road, Michael, unless you know you're full of fuel at the way this race is unfolding already.
You know, I heard on the radio Allmendinger yell, I'm out of gas, guys. And when you're out of gas, you've got to wait. You've got to turn that starter over and just wait until the, we got a spin coming to pit road.
Clint Bowyer has spun in turn 4. Not sure if he locked it up trying to get to pit road, Darrell.
He was trying to get on pit road, and he locked it up. And, of course, he's got an engine problem. The engine may have finally let go in that car, but no, he's still running. I think he was just trying to get on pit road.
Bowyer was 5th prior to pit stops. Right here, he's running 9th.
Just trying to get down on pit road, looked to me like, and it just spun out with him.
First caution of the day comes out at lap 52 for Clint Bowyer's spin. Boy, it's been a tough day for one of the hometown favorites. 3 NASCAR Sprint Cup drivers living within a short radius of this track. Bowyer he was low on the racetrack and just went around.
Yeah. You can hear the old engine. She got a cylinder down. Just not
coming to you guys. Coming to you.
Just not sure about that one.
Well, did the engine rev because the car get loose, or might have he downshifted for 3rd to get in the pits and it came around?
I honestly believe he was trying to get on pit road. I think that's what he was trying to do. I got to believe he's a pretty frustrated young man right now with this engine problem, a track that he would rather win at than Daytona, and now he's got this problem. I think he was just frustrated.
Pit road is open, 26 cars on the lead lap. And let's see how many takers we have. Not the leader. Truex stays out. Most of the lead lap cars are not pitting. Jeff Gordon and a few others do, however, toward the back end of the lead lap, about half.
Yeah, back there you need to come in.
Yeah, not surprising. We'd only been about 5 laps since that set of green flag pit stops. These drivers at the front just did not want to give up that track position.
But if you're back in the middle of the pack or so, how about it, Krista?
Well, they went 1 round up on the track bar on the last stop. They're going back on that adjustment, but they are planning on pulling a rear spring rubber out of the 24 machine. Jeff Gordon saying he's just so tight, especially under throttle. Matt?
Greg Biffle called his car ridiculously fast in the first run, but then he lost the nose. This time they're just doing the opposite of what the leaders did. They stayed out, he hit pit road.
Clint Bowyer's bad day got worse. He has taken his Toyota to the garage. Tough break for Bowyer. And we're under caution for the first time today in Kansas. .55 laps complete, finishing up the first caution flag of the day for Clint Bowyer's spin. That's the first caution in the last 286 laps of Sprint Cup racing, going back to about lap 100 at Texas last week. David Rudiman gets the free pass in his Chevrolet. He's the Aaron's lucky dog. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron. So he gets back on the lead lap. We'll restart with 27 lead lap cars. Off track in the garage area, Scott Riggs, Mike Bliss, Joe Nemechek, and Clint Bowyer. Dave Blaney was in the garage, but he's just come back out on track as we get ready to restart after the first caution of the day.
About half and half. The top 12 drivers stayed out. The other 15 drivers on the lead lap hit pit road.
This ought to be pretty wild and pretty crazy right here on this restart.
So a difference in tire wear of only 7 or 8 laps between the lead cars and those that stopped. Green flag.
It seems like Harvick's struggling a little bit on these restarts.
Three wide. And Hamlin drifts back up in the low groove, but behind him, Allmendinger is caught in a sandwich 4 wide off turn number 2. And they try and sort it out.
Boy, this is when you just have to be so aggressive on these restarts. You've got them right here. You got them all in a bunch. Get as many as you can before they get strung out.
Truex all alone, as is Harvick. Third place, Hamlin and Kasey Kahne continue to go at it with Brad Keselowski.
4 wide right here at the start line, down on the apron as they went by.
Yeah, those drivers with fresher tires at the back, they tried to take advantage of it in a hurry on this restart.
Kurt Busch to the bottom. Gordon runs out of room up top. That may leave a spot for Busch or Edwards as Montoya in the 42 battles the 55 of Mark Martin.
Wow, did you see Greg Biffle in the 16, our points leader? Kyle Busch just clipped him in that left rear. He was just hanging on.
Look at him on the apron right here. Look at all, I mean, look at that.
Landon Cassill had to go to the apron because they were already 3 wide at the start-finish line. Tony Stewart, 14. Nowhere to go, no way to get there. And boy, Almirola comes right up in front and almost takes the nose off Joey Logano's number 20.
And don't forget now, you can be below the white line on a track like this. Daytona and Talladega, that's a no-no. But here, you just go everywhere except where it's green.
And don't rule out they won't try that.
Well, you might try it, but it won't work.
Finally, Almirola settles in front of Casey Mears. That's Menard, the 27 up high. Newman in that silver car, Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon still side-by-side battling.
You get them 4 Mr. Feel-Goods on there, those sticker tires, you're a hero for a little while. You'll go places that you won't be able to go in a little bit.
The only driver who stopped in that exchange that's been able to move up into the top 10 has been Kurt Busch, who's climbed to 9th. Here's Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, side-by-side for 5th. And there's Busch, that white and red car that took those new tires and capitalized, kept to the low groove and jumped up there. Great racing here. 3rd through 6th, 4 cars under a blanket.
And look who's joined the party. Hey, Kasey Kahne, coming off a great weekend. Good finishes at Texas, won the truck race at Rockingham. 5 car on the move.
3 wide again. Johnson underneath Keselowski and Hamlin. Steve.
Jimmy Johnson saying, Mike, hey, I need a little bit of help rotating through the center. And his main concern, Mike, he says his splitter is hitting the track, but he's on the move now.
That's not unusual. Low air pressure. Once those pressures come up, that car will stop doing that. You heard Brad Keselowski there pedaling that thing, getting pretty loose.
Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, Greg Biffle, and Carl Edwards. 14th on back.
They don't know it.
No.
You know what? You don't really know what position. You're just racing. Pass everybody you can.
Jimmy Johnson makes the pass on Hamlin for 4th place as Biffle dives underneath Ryan Newman. Back at 15th.
We talked to Greg Biffle in that 16 car earlier in the week, guys, and just his swagger and his confidence. He said, you know what? I can win at any racetrack right now.
Well, the odds would be against him here, Larry. He was the highest qualified Ford in the field and started this race back in 17th. So Fords did not have a good qualifying day here.
Want to see Mr. Lonely? Well, here he goes right now. He's at the start line right there. And here comes Kevin Harvick now. That's how big a lead that Truex has.
Krista.
Kasey Kahne is listening to a new voice this week from the spotter stand. Kevin Hamlin, who spots for Ty Dillon in the Truck Series, is spotting for him. Not a full-time position, but the trucks are off for the next 4 weeks. Kasey saying he wants to learn other styles, finding out what he wants in his eyes in the sky. Matt?
Harvick trying to hold off, now losing that position to the 5 of Kahne. His big issue on that restart and the past 2 restarts, he simply spun the tires like DW thought.
Yep. Got to get them babies cleaned up. That's what a spotter job, crew chief job, and driver. When they tell you got to clean them up, they mean spin those tires.
Come back again. Half back, come continue, leave it home. Still there.
Boy, 3 wide turn 2 as Kahne battles Harvick. And Kasey Kahne almost gets the spot as, boy, Montoya and the 17 of Matt Kenseth battling the pole sitter Allmendinger on the right of your screen.
Yeah, you talked about the Ford camp. Matt Kenseth in that 17 car started in the 18th position. He has now cracked the top 10. To Krista's point about Kasey Kahne, remember, he's been searching with this spotter situation ever since he got in trouble back at Bristol.
Right, his cousin Cole had been his longtime spotter, and so Kevin is the third spotter he's had this year. Just looking for something a little different, as Krista said. What he's looking for is a shamrock or a horseshoe or something. Needs a little bit of good luck is what he needs. 13th, Biffle and Allmendinger, and here comes Kyle. Kyle Busch in the 18, right up into the thick of that battle.
He just drove by our pole sitter, A.J. Allmendinger, in that 22. It's like A.J. was good out front and clean air, struggling a little bit right now.
The STP 400 on Fox is sponsored by Diet Mountain Dew. Yeah, it tastes that good. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible.
73 laps complete in Kansas. Mark Truex Jr. has led the last 27 circuits. Pole sitter A.J. Allmendinger led the first 44. Kasey Kahne right up against Kevin Harvick for second place. They're about 2.5 seconds behind the leader. Clint Bowyer is back on track after a trip to the garage area. Fresh off the wire Friday, he threw out the first pitch for the Royals game, and they had a no-no going into the 5th, but lost to the Blue Jays. And then this spin by Clint Bowyer. We thought he was trying to get onto pit road when the car went around. He spent some time in the garage. They disconnected one of the valves in the engine, so he's on 7 cylinders trying to complete the race. And that's what's fresh off the wire. Served to you by KFC. Come in and taste why fresh is better.
It does. Something's wrong with the 22 car, too. I think same thing. What are they saying, Matt?
DW, he ran out of gas earlier. That's why he stumbled trying to leave his pit box, and then he simply told the team, we have a motor issue right now. He's just trying to ride it out as long as he can. Not looking good for the pole sitter.
Yeah, right now he's about 2 seconds a lap off the pace.
Yeah, he's down a cylinder just like the 15 was. But I like what the 15 did, Mike, Larry. They disabled that cylinder. So that means that the parts that are in there that are broken, they're not moving. They're just cars running on 7 cylinders.
Both of these cars dropping cylinders occurred very quickly after pit stops. Missed shifts, perhaps, getting up to speed?
Very good, perhaps, Mike. Very good.
I've been watching this 42 car of Juan Pablo Montoya. He's one of the drivers that did come to pit road under that last caution, but he started back in the 37th position. And Krista, he has cracked the top 10.
Yes, he has, Larry Mack. On that stop there, one of the guys that just took 2 tires. At the time, he said he needed to be a bit more free. Now saying he's a little bit tight under throttle.
I tell you somebody else, Larry, that I'm surprised. Dale Jr. missed pit road, and really, he kind of has overcome it without much of a problem. He's running in 6th spot. I thought that was really going to mess up his position, but he's holding on pretty good.
Guys, we saw Harvick battling Kasey Kahne. Kasey drove up and caught Harvick as he races under him there, but Harvick didn't just lay over. Darrell, you guys talked about people letting other cars have the position. Harvick said, I'm not going to let you have it. And look, they've been able to stabilize this battle somewhat. Harvick's held his spot, still running second, picking up his time. So that's a good example of a guy saying, I ain't laying over for you, buddy.
Yeah, Harv will let you have it all right.
He's a taker, not much of a giver.
That's right.
He's a taker. Martin Truex Jr. leading Kevin Harvick and Kasey Kahne.
Glad you're watching the STP 400 from Kansas Speedway. And after 84 of 267 laps, Martin Truex Jr. working on a career-high 5th straight top 10 finish, and maybe his first win since 174 races. His only win in his Cup career. He led 69 laps last week in Texas. Let's check in with Jeff Hammond for an overview here from the Hollywood Hotel to the sprawling Kansas Speedway. Jeff?
Thanks, Chris. I'm over here at the Hollywood Casino, if you can believe that, folks. But the cool thing about Kansas Speedway is what's grown up around it. Darrell Walker kind of touched on it in the pre-race. With the casino, for instance, or all the restaurants are just outside of turn 3 and 4. The businesses are thriving. They're bringing in a lot of jobs. It's really helping the community. It's a destination now, folks. It's not just the racetrack. It's quite an attraction. Mike?
Thanks, Jeff. Big soccer stadium there. And we're told that Kevin Harvick is very short on fuel there. Getting pretty close to green flag stops. To Matt.
And Kevin Harvick saying the car feels like it is out of gas. They're going to go back to their practice air pressure settings. The car just way too free on exit. The crew guys up on the wall waiting for Harvick.
When do we expect the leader, Larry?
Yeah, I think Martin Truex Jr., Casey Kane, Brad Keselowski, some of the first drivers to pit under green, I think they're going to be on pit road here within the next couple of laps.
One thing he's got to watch with no engine, with his engine not running, his tach's not working, and you got to be careful speeding on pit road.
Let's see if Harvick's able to quickly restart and pull away once the 4 Goodyears and 2 cans of Sunoco gas are in.
Yeah, I think with the time that he lost when he ran out of fuel, and you can see they can't get it refired. And finally get it refired, he is going to lose so much time with running out of fuel, what he had to do on pit road, and holding it till he could get it fired.
The leader, Truex, comes off turn number 4, had an anxious moment there, lapping David Gilliland, but here he comes.
But with the 29 car, notice no ether being sprayed into the engine, no pushing the car, set there, let it get its pressure up, and it starts.
Brad Keselowski is in. A.J. Allmendinger also coming as we begin second round of green flag pit stops. Dick?
Well, Brad Keselowski's had a good day for himself, as has this crew. Keselowski drove the truck race yesterday, finished in 3rd position, so he got a little information some of the other folks maybe didn't get about this place. He won the spring race here last year.
And here's Matt.
And Allmendinger is in. His car on the tight side has been pretty consistent much of the day, but his biggest issue, the motor. You were telling earlier, Mike, just how much off the pace that 22 was. Steve?
And Mark Martin saying the car is looser in and off the turns, but still tight in the middle. They're going to make a wedge adjustment and an air pressure adjustment to help Mark Martin.
Only about 6 more cars need to stop in this part of the sequence, the ones that did not stop during the last caution. Hornish is in.
Junior made it that time.
Yeah, he didn't miss pit road.
He slowed her way down that time.
Dick?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. got lucky on the last pit stop, missed pit road, but managed to stay in the top 10 nevertheless. He has had a decent car all day long. He just wants to free it up a little bit on this pit stop. Junior looking very, very good today in Kansas. Krista?
Casey Kane, they're stretching their fuel mileage. He is out of fuel. They had planned to come in 1 more lap. Casey Kane actually saying he's having to work a lot harder in the race car as well, saying his hands are numb. There's more wheel in the track. Matt?
And Martin Truex Jr. and his team just trying to put the entire race together. So far, the car very solid. He wants a slight air pressure change. He says the car is just a little bit snug from center off. Steve?
Matt, Denny Hamlin saying the car is still tight at both ends of the track. On exit, they made an air pressure adjustment and given him 4 tires. Krista?
Casey Kane limps his way around, makes it in. They were planning on making a wedge adjustment, the wrench going into the back of the car to make that adjustment. Like we said, Casey's saying he's having to work a little harder, and the proof is in his hands. His hands getting numb on the wheel, because I also mentioned the wind on the backstretch.
Ryan Newman and Carl Edwards in. That will almost complete this part of this round, and Jeff Gordon in a little early than he would cycle through.
That 5 car, that was painful. Krista?
Well, Jeff Gordon came in back on lap 52 in the round of stops, and he's actually saying the adjustments they made have not fixed a single thing. He said he's still tight in the center and crazy loose in and off. Meanwhile, for Carl Edwards, Carl said he needs his car to turn a little bit better through the center. Steve?
Mr. Jimmy saying he is still in the center. He says park throttle is my friend. They're going to take a spring rubber out of the
Biffle trying to make it back-to-back wins. You can see the wrench go in the back window. He called it from the cockpit. He wanted to go down on the track bar to try to tighten up this number 16 machine. Solid so far. Steve.
Well, Matt Kenseth has done his usual job of sneaking into the top 10. He says the car still needs help rotating in the center of the turn, but overall the car is not bad. 4 tires and an air pressure adjustment. Dick.
And Tony Stewart's day has not at all gone the way they had expected it to. He said that the front end going into the corners just isn't grabbing hold of the racetrack, nor is the right rear. So they're going to be doing some chassis adjustment on this pit stop for sure. Smoke, not as fast as he had hoped to be.
A.J. Eric Almirola missed his pit and will have to go around in the 43. Montoya's in front of Krista.
Juan Montoya saying his race car is getting just a little bit loose. They really haven't made any major adjustments, just air pressure throughout this race. They are very comfortable with this race car, and a focus of their program has been these mile-and-a-half tracks. So far, things are looking good for Juan Pablo.
Montoya was the leader, and we're told there was a problem with Jimmy Johnson's pit stop. May have missed a lug nut. Well, we got a lot of issues here.
Watch it. I want you to watch this 17 car. He's running wide open. Watch this. He just, I mean, in the gears, in the brakes. There's the timing line, and got it slowed down in time to get in his pit box. A crazy, great job.
And then Eric Almirola just plain didn't stop in his pit and was headed for the next stall. He had to go around, and here's a Johnson stop.
You can see there the right rear tire changer had to put that lug nut. That NASCAR official was right there watching. Now that beat the alternative, and that would be leaving without that lug nut and having to come back in.
A very eventful round of green flag stops. Martin Truex came in with a 5.8 second lead. He's expanded that by 3 seconds.
The STP 400 on Fox is sponsored by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers. Here in Kansas, time for an AT&T race break, and Martin Truex Jr. with a blistering 9-second lead. He has led the laps, the most laps so far in a Toyota, just ahead of Denny Hamlin. A Toyota has not won a Cup race here in Kansas. With Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers watching in the Hollywood Hotel. Let's go back over some of the fuel problems this early in the race. Allmendinger, Harvick, Kane. What's the issue?
You know, you could be a little bit confused about how it could have happened on the second pit stop. You run out on the first pit stop, maybe you don't have your mileage predicted quite as precisely as you hope because of the weather change. But after you run a fuel stop and then you got to make another one, you shouldn't run out of gas, and we saw 2 cars do that.
We've also seen guys find different grooves or lanes or lines. Which driver can handle the 2 lanes or 2 lines the best?
Well, so far we've seen a couple of guys, Jimmy Johnson and Truex, who's leading the race, be able to run high when they need to, but then drop to the bottom like you see Jimmy right here. I need a car that will do both, Chris. That's how I'm going to win the race. Anybody can run high. I need a car I can go other places with it.
Jimmy in the Earth Day car moving up to 5th, just ahead, right behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. and ahead of Brad Keselowski, who won the race here. And also, let's talk a little bit about green flag pit stops. We're seeing more and more of that. It's going to play out the rest of the day as to who wins the race.
What an intense time this is in a race. Watch Matt Kenseth come to pit road. He is so dedicated to get there as fast as he can. Right there, timing line. He's going way too fast, but watch. There's the next one. That's the segment he gets timed on. He gets it slowed down before the second line, but he was nowhere near down to pit road speed at the first line, but it averaged out, and he made his pit stop. That showed you how aggressive these drivers have to be.
Is there such a thing, Darrell, talk about a wide track as a third line here?
In the middle. You know, you've got to be able to run down on the bottom, but anything low, Chris, is the other line. Around the top is pretty easy. It's a gift. There's a lot of grip up there, but someone in that groove, you can't run it. You got to be able to go other places. 7
different leaders and 7 different lead changes. You can check on your AT&T Fastest driver. Join the challenge. Text FAST to 34763 to play or visit. Go to AT&TFastestDriver.com if you want. You have a chance to win 4 Gs, all brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network. Rethink possible. That's your AT&T race break. Let's head back upstairs to Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Thanks, Chris. 107 laps complete, and 2 drivers that both ran out of gas, Kasey Kahne and Kevin Harvick, have both managed to stay on the lead lap after this round of green flag stops.
And I tell you, that aggressive move that we saw Kenseth make, getting on pit road, look where it put him. put him in third place. He made up a ton of time right there, Larry. It was a gamble, but he made up some time.
Yeah, and on the flip side of it, we talked about two of those drivers that ran out of fuel, like Kevin Harvick in the 29. He's a half a lap down, still on the lead lap, but Casey Kane in the 5 is only a straightaway in front of our leader, Martin Truex Jr.
Martin Truex Jr. picked up 3 seconds of lead on that green flag pit stop exchange. He's in front of Denny Hamlin by 8.6.
The STP 400 on Fox is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Toyota Care and by KFC. Come in today and taste why fresh is better.
114 laps, only 1 caution flag, and Martin Truex Jr. is not only our race leader, he's our Toyota top performer, with Denny Hamlin in second, 7.8 seconds back. Mark Martin 10th, and Kyle Busch number 11 with a bullet, because Kyle started back in 23rd and he is coming to the front.
You know, something else I noticed, Mike, is that like Kansas, we saw him bonsai pit road. He's running 3rd. Earnhardt missed pit road. He's running 4th. Johnson had a lug nut issue in the pits. He's running 5th. So these guys apparently have some pretty awesome race cars to overcome those problems.
Hamlin is under fire now from Matt Kenseth. Steve?
Mike, before the last pit stop on lap 94, Denny Hamlin told his crew that he was tight at both ends of the racetrack. They made an air pressure adjustment. Moments ago, Denny said we did not make it better. In fact, we just took the back of the car out of the racetrack.
Well, I think one thing that's going on with these drivers and their crews, they're starting to chase this racetrack a little bit. Darrell talked about it earlier in the show where the rain washed off all the rubber last night. We're starting to see both ends of the racetrack turn back black where the rubber's going down now.
Yeah, Larry, all the way up to the bottom to the top. It just tells you where everybody, they're just running all over the racetrack in the corners, but the whole track is now pretty dark.
Well, you see Kyle Busch's progression through the field from 23rd, but Krista, are they having issues?
Well, the issue is that Kyle says he can't see, and the reason being there's a vibration, he says, in his headrest. It actually says causing him to make it feel like his eyeballs are going to pop out. And he said the 48 Jimmy Johnson, the team told him, complaining of the same thing. Kyle said, it is hard to drive when I feel like I can't see.
And I got to tell you, I believe a little bit of that is the surface of the racetrack. All these cracks and crevices that are in this track, the reason they're going to repave it, it's causing some vibration in the race car, just like going down the highway.
Really and truly, Kyle Busch at 18 is not a surprise that he's moved up, because if you go back to practice on Friday, he had a fast race car, but he was victim of going late in the qualifying session and just didn't get a good lap in.
4th place. Hendrick Chevy teammates Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson. Now Earnhardt came out of the pits 3rd, lost the 3rd spot to Matt Kenseth, and now Jimmy Johnson alongside.
Well, the last time a Hendrick driver went to victory lane was 14 races ago when Jimmy Johnson won the fall race here at Kansas. You're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. finished 2nd a year ago here to Brad Keselowski in that 88.
Now they're about 10 seconds behind race leader Martin Truex.
Good catch.
Not sure what that was about, as Kyle Busch went all the way down to the apron in the front straightaway as if he was running a qualifying lap there.
It really didn't help his lap time, because that was about 2/10 slower than the lap he'd run before that.
He's getting bored. He's just getting a little bored. He thought he'd just mess around a little bit. Plus, maybe he got just a little bit loose.
I think we know the reason now.
If he was getting bored, that woke him up, I can tell you. That's pretty nice slide and a save there.
Pretty nice save. Yes.
That'd work over at the ball game.
We go back short tracking in less than a week. Next Saturday night, Sprint Cup racing at Richmond, Virginia on the 3/4 mile. 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
I've been watching Kurt Busch in his 51 car as he just goes by Brad Keselowski. Remember, Keselowski was his teammate last year at Penske Racing, but Kurt started back in the 14th position. This is a race team where the owner and the driver, talking about Kurt Busch and James Finch, started really reaching out this week saying, we're going to keep going forward, but boy, do we need to put something on these quarter panels.
Yeah, that's why they took James Finch's business off the car and running the car with a blank hood and quarter panel showing we are seeking sponsorship. Not because they need it to finish the season, because James Finch wants Kurt Busch to have the equipment and the wherewithal to race to his full potential.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that James has basically raced out of his pocket for most since he's been in racing. Has a big company down in Florida that has always allowed him to do that, but he needs something to help him go to the next level.
Kurt Busch currently 7th. Your leader is Martin Truex Jr. by 7.8 seconds over Matt Kenseth. Let's take a look inside what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. Martin Truex has now led 78 laps, the most in this race, and Juan Pablo Montoya is the biggest mover forward since the start. Get unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with live in-car audio and real-time stats, available through the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app on your Android-powered device, only on the Sprint network. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Martin Truex is tearing it up. He's been able to hold on to that 7-second cushion over Matt Kenseth as you look from Eric Almirola's Ford at the race leader.
And in Truex's car, and Michael mentioned this in one of the breaks there, he can run high or low. He catches people, and he's not held up by someone that's running the high line. He can drive to the bottom and make passes. He's got an awesome race car right now, working all over the racetrack.
Green flag stops begin with Jamie Mack, another of the hometown heroes, Joplin, Missouri, his hometown, within a couple hours drive of the speedway here in Kansas.
And based on what happened on our last set of green flag pit stops, I don't think Kevin Harvick in the 29, there's the caution. Caution is out. Not a very good break for Jamie McMurray in that one.
Horrible. Caution for debris. It is the second caution of the day. Comes out at lap 132.
Well, the good news for McMurray, Larry, he can take the wave around.
Yeah, because he won't come back to pit road.
No, he can stay out, take the wave around, and not that big a deal.
All right, let's find out what is going to happen on this round of pit stops, Matt.
And Martin Truex Jr. says his biggest issue is just trying to be patient and smooth and not overdriving the race car. The car very close. Maybe, Steve, a small air pressure change to tighten him up.
Well, Matt Kenseth is saying that his car is very good at the end of the run. They don't want to leave the car pat, though. They're talking about making small changes to that 17, Dick.
Well, they're not going to make many changes to Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car either. He was running in the 5th spot just before that caution flag came out, and he has been running well all day, Krista.
Well, Kyle Busch is certainly awake now after that great save. He was complaining about his head hurting a little bit, but he said the last adjustment his team gave him has made his race car better.
Clear the grass, 4,200, clear the grass. Clear all in. Clear. Now, the gentleman beside you there. All right, you're all clear for now. All the way to grass, all the way to grass, still inside you, 4,000.
Martin Truex wins the race off pit road from Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, and Jimmy Johnson.
That's frantic, not panic, frantic.
So Truex holds on to the lead, and the hood is up on our pole sitter, A.J. Allmendinger.
Martin Martin Truex Jr., your leader, under a caution here at the Kansas Speedway. And time for an AT&T mid-race report. Bobby Labonte with engine problems. We've seen engine problems affect a number of teams, including the pole sitter A.J. Allmendinger, who led the first 44 laps, trying to win his first career race. The ordained minister performing a wedding in Reno before he came hoping to win a race here. Out of the picture, Truex Jr. in the picture, along with some other guys who haven't won in a while. Let's see what Darrell Waltrip is looking at.
Well, what I'm looking at, Chris, is if Darian Grubb can make some good pit calls and keep that 11 car up there in contention, I think Denny Hamlin may be the guy that can pull off the win.
You know, Darrell, Matt Kenseth has got a fast car. Martin Truex has had it made, 9-second lead, riding out there all alone. He's fixing to figure out there's some serious contenders in this race. I think Matt Kenseth makes a strong charge in the second half.
You know, Michael, you don't want to have to make an extra pit stop, and you don't want to get burnt by a caution after making a green flag pit stop. But I think when you look at what happened to Kasey Kahne and Kevin Harvick, the last thing you want to do is run out of fuel on the racetrack.
It's been nearly 4 years since Dale Earnhardt Jr. has driven a car into victory lane in this league. But today, everything is going his way. The chassis is working right. The crew is doing a great job on pit road. And the crew chief is making the right calls. Maybe it's Earnhardt's day today.
This is the third time this year that Martin Truex has led the halfway lap. In fact, in this short part of the season, he's already led more laps than he has in any season since 2007. Finished last year with 4 top 10s. He's on a roll, Chris.
And Mike, he said in the pre-race show, I don't even know what that number is about a winless streak. 174 races since his first and only Cup win. But remember, after Richmond last year, fired his crew, changed his pit crew. They've been grade A since. In fact, in Texas last week, under some green flag stops, they helped him gain spots. All he has to do today is protect the lead in the second half of the race. Can Truex do it while others are having engine problems and fuel problems?
.137 laps complete in Kansas. Here's a look at our STP race summary. Martin Truex Jr. has now been out front for 86 laps, the first of 21 lead lap cars. Truex, one of 7 different leaders. He and A.J. Allmendinger have dominated this race, 7 lead changes and just 2 caution flags. Now to Jeff Hammond and the University of Farmers follow-up.
A lot's been said about the repave that's getting ready to happen at Kansas Speedway. But the cool thing about it, the track officials here at Kansas Speedway, they're ready if we have a problem with the old track. They built a special trailer that they can take out to the location of the problem on the racetrack and do the necessary repairs, just like a good pit crew. They've got patch work right here ready to go in action. They got the saws to cut it out. They've got everything necessary to pack it back down so we can get back to racing. Folks, let me show you what's wrong with this racetrack. Even though it's not that many years since it's been paved, look right here, it's already breaking up. This is what Michael Waltrip referred to as a seam. You can see where it's kind of breaking apart as far as asphalt. Here's that ditch he was referring to. The cool thing about it is, if anything happens on the track, this team is ready to jump into action.
Thanks, Jeff. Getting ready for the restart. Paul Menard is the free pass car as we get set to resume. Truex ahead of Kenseth, Hamlin, Johnson, and Earnhardt. The top 5, and a lot of smoke from Clint Bowyer's car, and we're going to add a lap under caution so the track crew can have a look and see if there's any fluid up there in the groove as Bowyer is headed toward pit road or the garage.
That was pretty inevitable there. I mean, they patched it up and got him back out there, but she was wounded.
And Bowyer makes the sharp left turn to the garage for the second time today. Go to ChevyOutdoors.com. You can enter for your chance to win a Chevy Silverado, plus a day of bass fishing with Tony Stewart at his home. That caution flag was a big break for Stewart. He was in danger of going a lap down when the yellow flew for debris.
And you know, a guy like Tony, I know they haven't been in the hunt today so far, but don't ever count this dude out. I think back to last year, a number of times Martinsville comes to mind when he got back on the lead lap, got back in the hunt, and won the race. Don't count him out.
Let's listen in on our points leader, Greg Biffle.
We're on our way up there to do the tango with him. Yeah, we'll get up there soon enough to give him a little run for his money.
Biffle in 6th place. just ahead of Kurt Busch. And I've said a couple times today that Kurt Busch is a past Kansas winner. He is not. I regret the error, and thanks to all of you who tweeted the correction. Safety lights are back on. There is oil on the racetrack. They're going to have to take a lap or so to clean that up.
But you know what I like, that radio conversation we heard with Biffle? The confidence. Yeah, we'll get up there. When it's time, we'll get up there and mix it up with them. Uh-oh.
Jet dryers coming back out. Dick Berggren.
Well, we were hoping to interview Clint Bowyer in Victory Lane today, but the local hometown hero instead is in the garage with a broken engine. What's it like to just soldier around out there when you want to win this thing so badly?
Well, we actually, had a shot at it. Had a really good car. Our teammates out there leading. Hopefully he gets the job done. This wasn't our day, just one of those days. It's part of motorsports, and the guys do such a good job back in the shop and getting me a car capable of winning. And then the engine shop, this is nature of the beast. This happens from time to time. And
what broke it?
I don't know. I just wish it wouldn't have happened here. Anywhere but here.
Mike.
We've seen 3 engine failures already just past halfway. Clint Bowyer, A.J. Allmendinger, Bobby Labonte. Michael Waltrip talked in the pre-race about the cooler temperatures of the track having more grip. Also, these engines, Michael, will make a lot more horsepower. Plus, NASCAR gave the teams a lower gear for this race versus when we were here last year.
And the teams are going to take advantage of anything they get given, Larry. And the lower gear means more RPM, more speed. But on this cool day, they're really leaning on these engines, evident by the fact that they couldn't figure their fuel mileage, some of them early. Faster speeds means worse gas mileage. Guys were running out of gas. So far, these cats have been all over the place trying to get their arms around all this speed that we have here in Kansas.
And Michael, I'm looking at the 48 car, and it looks like they've actually added tape on a pit stop here, and you can see him playing with his switches there. That's his fans, his radiator fan. He's probably turning that off. We're going green.
Here they come for the restart, and Truex gets a good jump with Denny Hamlin behind. Matt Kenseth just did not get to the flag as quickly, and he's going to fall back at least to fifth. 3 wide right behind him, and Junior on the move on the bottom.
Remember how exciting that last restart was, and I don't think this one's going to let us down.
I think the guys up front knew it, too. They said, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to get back in that fight.
First 3 cars break away, and Kurt Busch is right with them in 4th. Kenseth 5th, Johnson 6th, then Biffle, Mark Martin, and Harvick side by side.
There's something about that outside line on these restarts. It happened to Harvick on the start of the race. Just saw it happen to Kenseth on the restart here. It's like it's slick and they can't get going.
Ooh, somebody slides up the hill in turn 2 as they were 3 wide. That was Brad Keselowski, who had to make some room. And look at the momentum loss. It cost him a couple of spots.
Well, this is when you're in that bubble of air. When you're all packed up like this, the thing you got to be able to do is bust out of that bubble and get some clean air on the nose.
About that little old red and white car right there in 4th. Kurt Busch in that 51 car just keeps chipping away at him.
6 of the first 7 cars, everybody but Denny Hamlin, just ran their fastest lap of the race. Off turn 4 to complete lap 144 with Truex out front. Grab that volume knob and just crank it up, will you?
Outside, 27 straight back.
Jimmie Johnson has been coming to the front. He's worked his way up to 4th place, just past Kurt Busch to move into the top 4.
Mike, I couldn't wait for him to get back around there and run over Digger. That was a great shot, man. I loved it.
But Martin Truex Jr. not looking back. He's already opened up a full second on Denny Hamlin.
And he does it on the restart. He gets a great restart. He gets him a little bit of a cushion, a little bit of a lead. And then right now, he and Hamlin are matching lap times pretty much same speed. That's what you call you have control of the race. When you can set the pace and everybody has to try to catch you.
Ninth place. Kyle Busch just passed Kevin Harvick, slid up in front of him. Slid almost into him. Harvick battles back.
Well, they're such close friends. You know, they just want to visit each other.
I was going to say, there's no love lost between those two drivers.
And you might see it right there.
Harvick gets almost to Busch's bumper, but
they'll come together. When they come off the corner right here, they'll be right back together.
The way he's running, you've got to think Kyle Busch is going to be a factor in this race before it's over.
One thing I do want to point out, with that caution and all these drivers pitting at lap 133, we went back racing at lap 141. We are just right there on the cusp of being able to do it on 2 pit stops.
I like that, Larry. We're right on the cusp. You just don't get there every day, you know? You just don't get on the cusp every day.
Tony Stewart works up the bottom of the racetrack behind his teammate Ryan Newman. Here's Dick.
Well, Tony Stewart struggled for much of the early laps of this race, Mike. But on lap 109, after a pit stop, he keyed the radio and told the crew that they were going in the right direction. On the last pit stop, the yellow flag pit stop, they made no adjustments at all. They restarted in the 17th position. He's already up to the 13th. Stewart getting faster as the day goes on.
And up at 3rd place, Jimmie Johnson just blasted by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jr. moved aside, and the 2 Hendrick cars cooperating with one another, and Johnson has almost caught 2nd place Denny Hamlin.
That would be the guy that, if I was worried about anybody, if I was Martin Truex, it would be that 48 car. He has an amazing record at this racetrack, Jimmie Johnson does. And I know he'd like to give Rick Hendrick his 200th victory in a big, big way. He's come so close. Martinsville almost got it. Texas almost got it. Looking good today.
But Darrell, Larry, has it seemed to you like the Hendrick drivers, who all want to be the one to give Rick that special 200th victory, have they been racing each other so hard that maybe some good chances have slipped away?
Well, I think every single one of them certainly wants. I know they talk about the company getting the 200th win, but you better believe every one of them wants to be the driver to stand in Rick holding that checkered flag.
There are milestones, and you'd like to have your name part of one of those milestones. That would be big.
Hendrick drivers currently 3rd and 4th behind Martin Truex Jr., who talked about his last and so far only Sprint Cup victory to date.
I do want to get back to victory lane, obviously. It's been way too long. I feel like if we can just put ourselves in position the way we've been doing it, our wins are going to come. And, you know, in the past, I've been in position to win races. I've dominated races. I've led a lot of laps, and we've just never been able to close the deal.
Visit your local Dodge dealer today. By AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by STP, get the most out of your engine.
Closing in on 100 laps to go in Kansas. Here's a look at the Dodge Chargers of the race. Brad Keselowski, last year's winner, 17th. Sam Hornish, in one of a few rides he'll have for Roger Penske in the Cup Series this year, in 19th. And pole sitter A.J. Allmendinger beset with engine trouble, but still running in 33rd. Good battle here at 6th place. Greg Biffle in the 16, battling Kurt Busch and Mark Martin, with Matt Kenseth just ahead. And there you see Allmendinger down on the bottom of the racetrack on 7 cylinders.
Tell you what I see Mr. 5-time is giving a wake-up call to Martin Truex here. He is there. It's what is amazing. The 48 car is 1/10 of a second quicker per lap. Well, just 1/10 of a second, and it allowed him to catch him.
Jimmy has 3 poles and 2 wins here. Bides his time behind Martin Truex. With 105 laps to go, takes another swing at it. Down low in turn 3.
Well, and here's a great shot right. Look at Jimmy. He's not working hard. The car is handling so well. Now you see him flip that switch back on. I'm sure that's probably his fan on his radiator. Once he gets up there, he probably doesn't want to get the engine too hot running behind the 56. Flip that fan back on. When he gets back out front, he can turn it back off.
Now they have 3.5 seconds on Denny Hamlin and 4.5 on Dale Earnhardt Jr. So Johnson has some time to play with here to try and get by Martin Truex.
He tries so hard getting down into the middle of the corner, but Martin Truex Jr. in that 56 just keeps it wound up when he's running up there against the wall.
How you know if a guy's got a good handling race car, you never see him go back to the right. At any point in time, it's pretty much always cranking a little to the left, just gently nudging on that wheel. That means that car is really handling neutral to a little tight.
This time Johnson settles in, and it's clear Truex's strength, Darrell, is from the middle of turn 2 to the exit of 2. He gets such a jump on Jimmy down the backstretch. Jimmy may be as good as Martin down the front straightaway. Matt?
And Mike, Martin Truex Jr. just asked his spotter, Keith Barnwell, I don't know where he is better than me. I've moved around. And Barnwell said simply what you just said. From the center off, he seemed to be picking up some momentum.
Yeah, Jimmy gets in the corner a little bit better. Then Martin's got that high line really working, and he's got that power down the straightaway.
And he stayed with him pretty close that time through 1 and 2.
I think we may see a classic slide job here before too long.
And I think that's the only way he's going to be able to make it work. If he can get up beside him through the middle of the corner and just do that slide on the exit.
Yeah, well, Jimmy gets in so good. You see right there how he closes up. He gets in so good. If he really holds the throttle down and gets in a little harder, might be able to clear him getting into the corner.
And while they battle for the lead, they have extended the gap on Hamlin now to over 4 seconds.
Yeah,
so no holding back here.
This battling has not slowed him down any.
You're beating him on exit both ends now. He makes a little bit of time on entry, and that's it.
10-4.
That was Martin Truex Jr. spotter, Keith Barnwell, that Matt was talking about.
100 laps to go.
And
at least 2 pit stops, and a lot can happen.
And that line that Martin is running, the 56 car, is a lot easier on his tires than that one where Jimmy's pinching it down under him like that. He's using a whole lot more right front tire than Truex is.
Man, keep doing what you're doing, man. Run your line. Keep putting that heat on him. He'll mess up.
There you go. That's what you hope. When you're in pursuit like this, you want to distract that guy. Jimmy Johnson wants to distract Martin Truex, catch him looking back, make him start looking back.
Well, Johnson shortcut the front straightaway, and it brought him right to Truex's bumper between 1 and 2. And then Martin shot away coming off turn 2. Johnson looking low. In Truex's blind spot, pops right back up straight behind him, filling up his mirror.
2 really good handling race cars right now. They're both just really working well. Neither one seems to have a real big issue anywhere.
We'll keep a close eye on this battle. Martin Truex Jr. and Jimmy Johnson for the lead. Denny Hamlin now 4.5 back. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 6 seconds back in 4th. Do you want a chance to introduce a driver at the All-Star Race May 19th in Charlotte? Go to sprint.com/speed to find out how and bring your best stuff. Kurt Busch on pit road at 175 laps.
Yeah, this is pretty much a scheduled green flag stop. Dick,
And Kurt Busch has had the best race of his entire year, Larry McReynolds. The car has been tight all day long. They've been working on it all day long. They're getting it better and better. He spent much of the day in the top 10.
And that tells me that I'm not sure that Kurt Busch can make it on one more stop. If we see drivers go to lap 178 or 179, they probably can do it on one more stop. Steve.
Larry Mack, Mark Martin coming to pit road says the car has good balance, but it's just a little bit snug in the center. 4 tires and air. They'll make an air pressure adjustment in the right rear, and they'll go up on the track bar. Matt?
Kevin Harvick started the day on the outside of the front row. He hit pit road in the 9th position. Harvick said, we simply have got to take a major swing at this. We are not making any headway. He said the car is tight 5 different times, Steve. It's so tight.
And Matt Denny Hamlin saying that he needs a little more front grip. The last adjustments they made did not help. In fact, they're reversing those. So again, a little bit more front grip for Denny Hamlin. That's what he needs. Krista.
Carl Edwards saying the balance a little bit better on his race car on this last run, but he's still worried about it being a little tight. They're going to make some adjustments to give him a little bit more movability in his car. Steve?
Similar situation for Jimmie Johnson, Krista. He gets a windshield tear off. He's saying that his car is just a little bit snug in the center. Jack Canals being the cheerleader saying, hey, hang in there, buddy. We'll make it up for you on pit road. Matt.
And last week it was Biffle. Truex is trying to make it this week. End a long winless streak. Now 174 races. Possibly air pressure change. They were going back and forth. The car, if anything, a little too free at the beginning of the run. Solid day so far, and he's away.
And he will beat Jimmie Johnson off pit road by about the same margin they had on one another before this round of stops began. Jeff Gordon getting service. Matt Kenseth is in. Steve.
And Matt Kenseth saying we have taken the front end out of the race car, saying that it's shattering. They're going to take some air pressure out, and they also will reverse the changes they made on the last stop. Let's go to Krista.
We haven't really said a lot today about Ryan Newman, but he has steadily been in the mix. He actually said to his crew chief earlier, Tony Gibson, we have a fast race car. We just need to get it dialed in. That is exactly what they're going to try to do on this stop.
David Rudiman is stalled on pit road. They tried to push the car, and now finally it is refired.
Brad Keselowski, I believe that he missed pit road, I think.
He did, Larry. He was trying to get on too fast. Just way too fast. Didn't have a chance.
He was our leader, the last driver on the lead lap that had not made a green flag stop.
So we will cycle back around to Truex in the lead. Here's what happened to Keselowski.
He's just carrying way too much speed, and he's up. He knows it too. He's up there. He's in that point where he couldn't just make the turn to the bottom. He's had too much speed.
He and David Gilliland will be the last to stop in this sequence. And that probably cost him 5 seconds on the racetrack at green flag speed. It happened earlier to Dale Earnhardt Jr., who ended up losing 3 positions after he came around and made his stop.
But with him being able to make an extra lap there, that tells me he's one of the drivers that can make this on one more stop. Dick.
And Brad Keselowski last year went longer on gas than almost everybody else to win. And in the second race of the year, fuel mileage also played a factor in Keselowski finishing 3rd. They are waiting to get the fuel in that car to make sure they've got as much as they can for the end of this race.
He went 57 laps to win this thing last year, Larry, on his last run.
So Truex back to the lead, which has increased over Jimmie Johnson. It was 0.3 seconds. Now it's 1.1. Let's go back to Brad Keselowski and the miscue of missing pit road and listen in on his in-car radio.
Clear low, come to us. You can, the 18 will dive in here. You big opening behind him. Big opening behind him, clear low. Pit if you can here. Pit, pit, pit. Here we come. Here we come. Pit. Just make that move, man.
And what he was trying to do, the 18 car, he wanted the 18 to clear him, but that pushed him up the track too high, and he couldn't get turned down, slowed down and turned down, and in time to make pit road.
You heard spotter Joey Meyer trying to get Keselowski to pit road. Martin Truex Jr. has led more laps already this year than in any season since 2007. Can he hold on for the win?
The STP 400 on Fox is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and by Subway. Subway broke the 200-calorie breakfast barrier with egg white morning melts. Subway, eat fresh.
Caution is out for Montoya, and pit stops for some of the leaders, Steve.
Including Jimmy Johnson. He says that his car is still hitting the splitter, Mike, down at 3 and 4, and generally getting tighter as the run goes. They took half a pound out of the left rear tire. Matt.
Steve, Greg Biffle says the car is just absolutely all over the place. It goes from being tight, then loose, then back to tight, then loose. Right side tires for the Biff.
Now here's why we're under caution. Juan Pablo Montoya was running in 16th position. As you ride with Brad Keselowski.
See him up there. He gets in the corner a little high. You see the car wiggle. I think he hit one of those strips. Got the car just a little loose, wiggled a little bit, and smacked the fence.
So the safety trucks are out checking for debris. Montoya's made a pit stop, returns to the fray. And Joey Logano will get the free pass on this caution. So let's take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. Martin Truex Jr. at lap 143 set the fastest lap of the race, and Joey Logano is now the biggest mover forward. Check out the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app on your Android-powered device on the only national carrier with truly unlimited data. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Now, the first 8 drivers chose not to pit under this caution.
Yeah, and Steve Burns was telling me in my ear that Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson were questioning their decision to stop there. Those drivers that stayed out, they are banking on these caution laps, being able to buy enough laps to make it on one more stop. I like the fact of those drivers that stop, because right now they've got insurance, especially if we should go into a green-white checkered at the end of this thing.
By far the best decision. I wouldn't question that at all. I think that was exactly the right move.
And as we saw in the prior caution flag, there is an advantage to fresh tires, even if they're only 7 or 8 laps fresher than the drivers you're racing. 78 laps to go in Kansas, as Juan Pablo Montoya puts a stripe on the wall and puts us under caution for the 3rd time. There is downtown Kansas City, Missouri, in the lower right-hand corner of the Sprint Arena, the Sprint Center. Kansas City, Missouri, home of Sprint, our series sponsor. We're right next door in Kansas City, Kansas. And here is what is fresh off the wire. Martin Truex Jr., the last time he led this many laps, he won. That was Dover, June 2007, 174 races ago. He's trying to snap a big winless streak. So is the man right behind him. It's been 136 races since Dale Earnhardt Jr. last went to victory lane. That was in Michigan in June of 2008. Will he or one of the other Hendrick drivers get that long-awaited 200th victory? We'll see. And that's what's fresh off the wire, served to you by KFC. Come in and taste why fresh is better.
I love what Dale Jr. said this week in an interview. He said, I'm the best driver at Hendrick. He said, I'm the best driver they got. And he also said, if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be worth the flip. So I think this shows you how confident he is about his situation.
75 laps to go. The first 8 drivers did not stop under this caution flag. And Truex is trying to get away from Denny Hamlin as they line up behind him in the bottom groove. There comes Junior with Kurt Busch. Brad Keselowski slides up almost into Paul Menard. 4 wide in the backstretch.
Look at this. Rush hour, baby. Rush hour off into 3, 190 mile an hour.
Matt Kenseth outside of Dale Jr. Jimmy Johnson fighting for the bottom behind Kurt Busch. Truex is going to lead the first green flag lap after this restart handily. from Denny Hamlin and Matt Kenseth.
And that's where Truex has been so awesome on these first 2 or 3 laps of a restart. Even at the start of the race, he shoots out there, gets about a 2-second lead, and then he just holds it.
Biffle moving up. He's got fresh tires in that number 16, and he's climbed to 6th place.
Mike, you said it. Even just a few laps stretch your tires. We saw it earlier in the race. Makes such a difference for a driver.
I like seeing those stickers. I like seeing that paper flying off my tires.
Mark Martin only took 2 tires to gain some track position, we're told, as Kyle Busch battles Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson.
Kevin Harvick in the 29, one of the drivers that stayed out.
It just makes me nervous when I hear those 2 guys mentioned in the same breath. Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. It makes me a little nervous.
Biffle keeps moving. He's got Kurt Busch. He's up to 5th. The cars in the top 10 that just took tires: Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch. Johnson dives under Harvick. This will be back in 7th place. Makes the pass.
We talk about business picking up. Kyle Busch just ran his fastest lap of this race at lap 194.
And standing trackside is Jeff Hammond.
Mike, you keep talking about tires. You talk to any crew chief down that road. They say these tires pop off a ton each and every lap. And the thing is, when it comes down to pit road with these number of laps we have left in this race, the shootout is going to be on pit road, and which crew can perform to get those 4 fresh Goodyears on the fastest and not make a mistake and beat yourself. Krista.
Ryan Newman had taken 2 tires on the last stop, and he just came on the radio and talked about a possible flat. So they came in to make a 4-tire change. He said it's been chattering really badly.
Ryan Newman was 14th. And have a look at Newman trying to get to pit road with Carl Edwards right behind him.
Oh, man, that is so close. Carl had no idea that Ryan was getting ready to drive on the pit lane.
And that'll take Newman off the lead lap. 9th place, Mark Martin, Kyle Busch.
Larry, Mark's just been wow, man, I tell you what, I don't know if Mark got loose or if Kyle just got him loose.
I think it may have been a combination.
I think it was a little bit of both. Whatever it is, Mark's going to fight right back. I think he appreciated that too much.
Remember all that respect and mutual respect and after you. No after you early in the race. I think that's all over now.
Good job, man. Good job.
I think you're right with 69 laps to go.
I tell you what's impressive. These guys are racing hard back here. But that 56 car, he's already got a 2.5-second lead in about 3 laps here. He gets away so fast. Saw it on every restart. Saw it leaving the pit box. Just got a lot of get up and go today.
But company's coming, Darrell. Back at 6th place, Jimmy Johnson is the fastest car on the racetrack. Everybody else has been 32 seconds plus. Johnson's last 2 laps, 31.88, 31.93.
You mean
he's in 6th.
The guy
moving up.
The guy that wasn't real sure about that pit call?
That would be him.
That would be him.
And together again.
Making me nervous.
Kevin Harvick in that 29 and Kyle Busch in the 18. That's a battle for 9th right now.
Like a magnet.
.67 laps to go and at least one more stop to come. A lot of action left here in Kansas in the STP 400.
It's time for an AT&T race break with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers, and Martin Truex Jr. in a contract year with Michael Waltrip Racing and his sponsor Napa. Who gives the best challenge as far as fighting him off down the stretch? He leads Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, and Jimmy Johnson moving up.
What about Jimmy Johnson's pit call? Chad Canal said, come get some tires. We got to do something. We can't pass Truex. I love Chad's attitude. I know Jimmy's determined, wanting to get a win here. So the biggest competition I see is Jimmy Johnson. But remember, Matt Kenseth, I like what he's been doing all day. Very aggressive. Couple of really fast cars.
And as Jimmy moves up into 4th in that 13-race winless streak for Hendrick Motorsports. Remember, Jimmy won here back in the fall. He's finished 2nd 3 different times, and the Truex team was eavesdropping on the radio communication when Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus made the recent pit stop. But what about the points leader, Greg Biffle, his statement win last week in Texas. He's won here twice before. He's only won back-to-back races one other time in his career. That was 2008.
But he's racing just outside the top 5, battling with Dale Jr. there, sideways off the corner. He's got a solid car, but I haven't seen the speed out of him that I've seen from Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. Both of them seem to be able to charge to the front. Biffle just seems to be hanging on like he was hanging on off turn 4 there sideways.
Yeah, and Jeff Gordon just moving into the top 10. Jeff Gordon has led a lap in each of the 7 races so far this year. Hasn't won a race yet, has not led today, has not been near the front, but just moved ahead of Kyle Busch.
And I like the adjustments they've made on this car. I've been eavesdropping too on the radio transaction, and Jeff says, I'm loose, give me a little bit of bite here and there, and they're making some great calls on that car, and he's getting better and better trying to get around Harvick here.
And you touched on it with Kenseth, the aggressiveness, the pit road stops down the stretch.
Well, when you have green flag pit stops, Chris, you want to get every inch you can get. That means these drivers are challenging the entrance. Some of them are sideways. We've seen them sliding through the first pit box. That just goes to show you how intense a green flag race is for these drivers. They know they have to get every little bit every second, and they can gain a little bit getting to pit road. They're going to give it a try.
And these are the drivers, the AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. Text 34763 or go to fastestdriver.com for a chance to win 4Gs. Brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network. Mike, with 59 to go, 10 lead changes, 8 different leaders, only 3 cautions so far.
Thanks, Chris. 3rd and 4th are side by side. So are 5th and 6th and 9th and 10th. On your left, Kenseth holds off Jimmy Johnson for now, and the 2 best friends on the right side of the screen continue to each refuse to lose.
BFFs right there, buddy. Telling you.
Jimmy Johnson restarted 12th on lap 193. We're now at lap 209, and he's knocking on the door of 3rd place.
This has been a really back and forth battle between Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. And here comes Kasey Kahne. He's going to join the party. Jeff Gordon up ahead of him just made a pass by both of them while they were messing around. He's pulling away.
Those 2 have all but run over each other, Darrell.
And I think that's what Kasey Kahne is watching. It's like, I'm not sure what these 2 guys are going to do up there.
I am. He may not be. He needs to be up here with us.
Well, Kahne is coming, and so is Tony Stewart. That's going to be a 4-car battle in just another lap. Meanwhile, Greg Biffle moves up to 5th. Ooh, little wiggle wobble there.
Yeah, Biff's had a little wiggle and a wobble here and there, but that doesn't bother him. He is my classic wheel man.
Biff, another driver who's not yet led a lap today. 3rd place. Jimmy Johnson has made the pass. Matt Kenseth trying to hang tough right with him.
Right now, they're about 3.5 seconds behind our leader, Martin Truex Jr. in the 56.
Here's Truex. Here's the gap back to Denny Hamlin.
I'm just going to call him Mr. Lonely because he hadn't had anybody around him all this race. On the restarts, lap or 2, he drives off and gets him a comfortable lead and kind of keeps him at bay. And you know what, as a driver, Larry, and that you sit there, you have the dominant car. You have owned this joint today. You're holding your breath that nothing happens to it. A driver is so, I mean, you want to think about winning, but you cannot until you cross that start-finish line.
And right now, the first 3 drivers are within hundredths of a second on their lap times.
But I think the report that Jeff Hammond gave a little bit ago hit the nail on the head. We know every driver has to make at least 1 more pit stop, and that pit stop should come about 10 to 12 laps from right now. We've seen so many mistakes on pit road today. This is where you cannot have a mistake, be it speeding, lug nuts, or any of those issues.
What I worry about, I watch Martin Truex running this racetrack. He is rim riding. He is riding that wall. If he loses any focus at all, any concentration, if he looks back to see where that 11 car is, or if somebody says something on the radio and he loses concentration momentarily, he will scrape that wall.
We're at Richmond next Saturday night, and in 2 weeks from today, we'll be at Talladega. Saturday night, a Rodney Adkins infield concert. And we'll kick off Sunday with a special hour-long pre-race show. Great seats available. The number and the website are on your screen. And we'll see you in Talladega in 2 weeks. Tony Stewart's been in the wall.
Well, Darrell, I think the same thing may have happened to him that you were talking about Martin Truex Jr. You're rim riding and you're right there at it.
You just got no room for error. And you can see right now, all it takes is Tony look back. The spotter says the 5 is looking. The 5's looking. Same place he hit the wall in practice. And you sweep out right next to that corner, right next to that wall right there. But I guarantee you, the spotter's saying he's looking, Oh, gosh, I lost my focus for a second.
Right at the entrance to turn 1.
Still there. Clear, clear.
But Darrell, you're right. He did that exact same thing in practice on Friday. Same place.
They just put the wall so close to the track, I swear.
Stewart lost only the 1 position to Kasey Kahne in that incident.
We're at lap 216 right now. These drivers will have to go till at least lap 223, I think, to be able to make it. And those drivers that did not pit, those 8 drivers, that puts them where if we go into overtime, it's going to be right there, just 7 more laps.
.50 to go as Kyle Busch moves up to battle, or rather moves back. Kasey Kahne moves up to battle Kyle Busch. Kevin Harvick had driven away from Kyle, and now he loses a spot to Kahne. Puts him back to 12th.
We're on another record pace for this race. They're averaging 140 miles an hour. I believe the average for the record here is 137, if I remember right. So, like last week, cars are fast, getting a lot of green flag runs, setting a record.
You know, Kyle was working into the top 10 and moving up, now falling back. Martin Truex Jr. has that much of a gap on Denny Hamlin, 1.1 seconds. The 2 Toyotas out front, trying to give Toyota their first win here.
You was talking about, you know, the Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch racing each other real hard. At some point in time, you know you're using up your stuff. You're overdriving your car. You're using up your tires. You got to back off a little bit, even if it means letting that guy get away from you.
Now Jimmie Johnson in 3rd is 2.5 back, and Matt Kenseth in the 17, within striking distance, 4 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, Mike, and he feels that way too. Michael Waltrip said that Matt had been really aggressive, and just moments ago, Matt Kenseth said, hey, listen, guys, don't worry. I'm going to let the 48 have the spot for now, but my car gets better later, so I'm going to get it back.
And I bet you he'll get a big part of that back on coming on the pit road under a green flag stop. Should we get there, we're starting to see green flag stops start. You see Kurt Busch in the 51. I don't think Kurt Busch can make it from here to the end without stopping again. Dick.
Kurt Busch was in the 8th position. They were concerned about the chassis in the car, loose under throttle, loose exit as well for the 51 on the right side of your screen.
He was the first car on pit road on our last round of green flag stops, so this would be on schedule. And Kasey Kahne coming in, and Dale Jr. made a sharp left turn to get to pit road, along with Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin, and Brad Keselowski. Dick?
An interesting strategy with Dale Earnhardt Jr. They're going to set the car up a little bit tight for the beginning of this run. They expect it to get free as the run goes on, so they're hoping it's going to be just right at the end. Krista.
Dick, Kasey Kahne's already cut it short a little bit earlier in the race. They weren't about to let that happen this time. Coming in, making a slight track bar adjustment, just a quarter round for Kasey Kahne. Steve?
Denny Hamlin saying that his car is just too tight right now to make a move to the front. 4 tires for Hamlin. They've also made an air pressure adjustment. Jimmie Johnson also on pit road. He said it started off tight through the middle, but most of that is gone now. 4 tires of fuel for Jimmie Johnson.
Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards in, Marcus Ambrose.
Here comes the leader.
And here's Truex, along with Paul Menard and Matt Kenseth on pit road. Greg Biffle, too. Krista.
Kyle Busch coming in. They took 2 tires on the last stop. Kyle saying he is just way too tight right now at this point in the race. He is plowing. Matt?
Impressive day so far, trying to close it out for Martin Truex Jr. Started 6th, hit pit road, slides to a stop. No chassis adjustments on this 56 machine all day. Just an air pressure change. Good solid stop to Biff. He pulls into a stop. The 27 Menard had to wait on him. Biffle. They're going to try to make a big swing with the air pressure and a chassis adjustment, trying to get him more grip on this last run to the finish.
Jeff Gordon got 4 tires and fuel. Casey Mears is in, so is Jeff Burton. Here comes Tony Stewart and Jamie McMurray as we cycle through this round of green flag stops. Well, Pablo Montoya is the new race leader. Dick?
Well, no surprise. Tony Stewart told the crew that the car had gotten loose, that they have lost the stiction, the glue that holds the right rear onto the racetrack. So they'll work on that on this pit stop. Haven't quite gotten it all day for Stewart. They've come close, but not quite nailed it yet.
Eric Almirola coming pit side along with Regan Smith. Cars that have exited the pit battle for 4th and 5th side by side, the 2 Toyotas that were 1-2.
Yeah, well, that's what they're battling for right now, and you can see that all of a sudden Mr. Lonely has some company.
Now, when they began pit stops, Truex had a 1-second lead over Hamlin. Hamlin's pit crew and Denny getting on and off pit road made that up.
Well, I think also Denny Hamlin pitted 1 lap before Martin Truex Jr. That's probably 2 seconds right there, just that 1 lap fresher tires.
It's going to take everything that Denny Hamlin has and his pit crew to keep up with that 56. They made an awesome pit stop. 56 Truex exited the pit road perfectly. He's going to be a hard man to beat today, Larry.
Montoya comes in for his final stop. And that will turn the lead. Looks like back over to Martin Truex, just ahead of Denny Hamlin.
You know, something else, Mike and Larry, that's happening is the sun is starting to pop through quite a bit that we haven't seen all day.
And excuse me, Sam Hornish Jr. is the leader ahead of Truex and Hamlin. Hornish, oh, big slide there. He's on worn tires. He's not yet made his stop in this sequence.
It almost looked like he was thinking about it. He was right down in that turn on pit lane, but he was going pretty fast, so I don't know if he was just missed it or if he just wasn't quite ready, but it looked like he was thinking about it.
But you're right, Darrell. This is the first time that we've seen this sun today, and that's definitely going to change the way these cars are driving.
You will. You're right.
Sam Hornish Jr., who has an IndyCar victory on this speedway, is your leader at lap 227. Kansas City is the home of barbecue. More barbecue joints in KC than any other city in America, they say. Big meal, big trophy. Who will win it? Sam Hornish Jr. is out in front, but he is almost a second slower than Martin Truex Jr., and he will need another pit stop.
Yeah, he was one of those drivers that came to pit road at lap 188 and changed tires and topped off of fuel, so he can go much further. But the problem is he's over a second a lap slower than these other drivers. But a caution for Sam Hornish Jr. here would be a beautiful thing for him.
I don't want to jinx the 56 car, but all of a sudden lap times are a lot quicker for Denny Hamlin, and he is closing that gap back down that Truex had driven away from him. Right now, the 11 car is faster than the 56 and catching him in a hurry. I believe, I hate to even say this, but it looks like the 56 is slowing down.
Hornish makes his pit stop. Truex goes back to the lead. Matt?
Mike, 4 laps ago, Martin Truex said simply, this is as loose as this race car has absolutely been all day. And Chad Johnson told him the sun is out. Everyone's experiencing it. Just try to hang in there.
Well, it's affecting him probably more than anybody I know right now, because Denny Hamlin has caught him, and he's going to drive by him here, maybe off turn 4.
Yeah, the game has changed, Darrell. Hamlin has Truex firmly in his sights. His lap times are 0.2 of a second quicker than Martin's. And Sam Hornish, by waiting so long to pit, will go a lap down.
Yeah, that's a 32.58 for Hamlin to a 32.72 for Truex. That's 0.2. All of a sudden, a big swing.
And only 33 laps to go. Hamlin down to the bottom.
Here he comes.
Hunting the lead. Truex will hold it off turn 4.
The biggest one, once your car gets loose and you're running that high line particularly, you just can't get the throttle down quick enough to get the momentum that you had off the corner. You have to wait, and you lose that advantage of running high.
Let's have a look at our STP race summary. We've got 32 laps to go. 22 cars on the lead lap. 9 different leaders now. 13 lead changes. 14 may be in the offing here. Only 3 caution flags for 18 laps. Denny Hamlin all over Martin Truex for the lead.
And now with Truex, hadn't had to race anybody all day long. Now what he doesn't want to do is overdrive his race car and make a mistake.
Steve?
Well, Mike, when this run started, Denny Hamlin said, my car is a little bit tight. Darian Grubb said, it's all right. We made 2 adjustments. It'll come to you. Denny Hamlin just said, I don't need lap times anymore.
Nope, he got a great run, Steve, off turn number 2. He has all but cleared Truex, slides up in front of him, and Hamlin is setting sail for the checkered flag.
You could see right there off the exit of 4 how loose Martin Truex Jr. in that 56 car is getting.
And we mentioned, you know, mistakes in the pit. Okay, the pit crew didn't make a mistake, but I don't think the crew chief had any idea that the sun was going to come out and change the conditions.
Those crews may be done for the day. These teams have fuel and tires to go the distance, but those 2 drivers may want to look in their mirror, because as Truex comes back for the lead, Jimmy Johnson is closing in.
Johnson.
Yeah, I was about to say, these 2 drivers about to have a little more company coming their way, because Jimmy Johnson in that 48 has been mowing them down.
In the meantime, his teammate, Jeff Gordon, going into turn 3, I think he's got an engine problem there. He's off the pace.
He's lost a cylinder, Darrell, and we'll try to complete this one on 7 cylinders.
I think, Larry, I think you or Michael one mentioned that they gave him a lower gear for this race this time. It has taken its toll on these engines.
Well, they did, and we just got word that Kurt Busch in the 51 may be going down a cylinder. That's a Hendrick engine as well, just like Jeff Gordon.
28 to go. Here's our 5-hour energy big move of the race. Denny Hamlin sets up Martin Truex, who wiggles just a little bit. And Hamlin drops down low to take the lead.
I cannot believe the lap times on Truex's car, Mike. 33:20 that last time by. That's almost a second slower than he's been running.
Well, from the entrance to turn 1 to the entrance to turn 3 is now in full sunshine for the first time today. And that may have made the difference. Hamlin leads by a second. Jimmy Johnson 1.8 back. How will it turn out? Fox Sports is proud to support the American Heart Association, helping to help heal their lives free of heart disease and stroke. To learn more and find free resources, please visit heart.org/Fox Sports. We are just 24 laps to go. Denny Hamlin is about half a tenth a second faster than Martin Truex Jr. and running the same times as Jimmy Johnson. Martin Truex back to second. Here's what they had to say.
Damn right it's not. You're the best guy out there.
Two Toyotas out front, a Chevy and 2 Fords chasing them, Michael.
Yeah, I've been listening to the radio. Denny Hamlin's car is loose as well. A lot of them have really freed up because of the sunshine. But, Darrell, you nailed it. When you have to run so close to the wall like we've seen Truex doing all day long, grip goes away, it's easy to slip up into that fence. Getting so close, look how high he goes. But he's began to close the margin a little bit on Denny over the last couple of laps. I like it. It ain't over yet. This is what NASCAR is all about. Drama at the 11th hour.
I don't know about the 11th hour, but it's 245 laps and we got drama.
22 to go.
Drama with the 11th car.
Roger.
Paul Menard was trying to keep from going a lap down. He's up the racetrack right in front of Hamlin.
Woo!
Didn't leave any room there, did they? And then Eric Almirola didn't give Martin Truex a lot of room either.
Not a lot of room, but he didn't have to get out the gas, I don't think, so he was able to keep pace.
Well, Martin wasn't pleased. He's trying to catch the leader.
Yeah, you know what he's saying? Pay attention.
Yeah.
I'm coming, man. I'm racing for a win here. Pay attention.
Eric
Same thing
Almirola is 3 laps down right now. He's not even fighting to stay on the lead lap.
Same thing happened with Jimmy Johnson last week. He got really mad at Ryan Newman because Ryan was going 2 laps down, and he held Jimmy up. Felt like Jimmy felt like it cost him the lead. These guys got to pay attention.
Jeff Gordon on pit road. Not a scheduled stop.
Yeah, you can hear Jeff Gordon. He's having a hard time just keeping the car running.
He is 21st, 1 lap down.
All the way.
And goes back out to complete these last 19 circuits.
We were talking about Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car making a run, but it's almost like he may have used his stuff up because now Denny Hamlin in the 11-hour leader is beating him about 1.5 to 2/10 a lap.
But you know what I'm seeing, Larry? I'm seeing that 56 inch back up on the back of that 11 car. That car may have tightened up, burn off a little fuel. Maybe the car will tighten up enough that he can get back up there and get after him.
Denny Hamlin finished 3rd here last year. That's his best ever finish at Kansas.
That lap by, that was 1/10 better for Truex, and he's back running about like he was earlier before he had problems. I think that sun went back in. Now he's catching him back.
We talked about Truex and Johnson. How about Matt Kenseth in 4th place? He is 4.7 seconds back with 18 to go.
If I can keep clean track here, I think I can go get the 48, maybe the 56 there. Trying. You're about 2/10 faster lap than them two. Keep on digging, man.
Well, at that rate, he would catch Jimmy Johnson in 10 laps for 3rd. 10th place, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch.
Hey, man, you got now is when you show them what you got.
Because every position is worth a point. And last year we found out just how much 1 point would mean.
That cat in that 99 car, Carl Edwards, for sure knows how important 1 point is.
And we haven't talked a lot about Carl today. He's running 11th, got a shot to get in here in the top 10 if he can get by the 18 car. This is when you got to give it all you got, man. Let her all hang out.
Starting to hear a bunch of buzzsaws coming by. Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch in the 51, who goes a lap down. Several drivers out there just trying to soldier on to the finish on 7 cylinders.
I tell you, I just don't think the race between the 11 car and the 56. 56 has got his legs back up under him. He's fighting back. Just ran a 32.6 to a 33.09 for the 11 car. He's coming back.
You see the dynamic interval on the pointer right there. And as that number gets smaller, Truex gets closer. As it expands, Hamlin pulls away.
But I have to say now, these guys have been working some traffic here too, and they've been holding them up quite a bit.
And they're going to hold Denny Hamlin up a whole lot more than they will Martin Truex Jr. because Denny Hamlin's the one that can put him a lap down.
Oh, Truex right up in front of Kurt Busch there.
Had to, man. You can't get side by side. It just kills your speed.
14 to go. And Mark Martin running in 8th place may also be having some engine difficulties.
I just think
he's off pace.
55 just lost a cylinder, Larry.
And if that's the case, that's 2 of the 3 Michael Waltrip cars and drivers that's had engine issues. The only one right now is the guy you're seeing on the left-hand side, Martin Truex Jr. in the 56.
Denny Hamlin's teammate, Joey Logano, had an engine problem before he even turned a lap of practice here in Kansas.
I believe traffic is really what has caused this lead to shrink a little bit. That time by Truex lost a 10th. So it's kind of nip and tuck right now. Gain a little, lose a little.
Logano's going to make it easy for his teammate to get by, Denny Hamlin. Plenty of room. Here comes Truex to close it up even further.
And I really like what Hamlin, Larry, you notice now Hamlin has really hugging that wall. I mean, he moved up off the bottom because he had been a bottom feeder most of the day.
Well, he watched that 56 car of Martin Truex Jr. He ran behind him a ton, watched him right up against the wall.
7 cars with engine issues today, every make but Ford has had some sort of engine trouble. Chevy, Dodge, and Toyota.
Well, Larry, it was just, we were talking about this earlier. They gave him a lower gear for this race. Lower gear means more RPM. More RPM means things can break, and so we've seen it today.
But we're within sight of 10 laps to go with 2 Toyotas leading Jimmie Johnson's Chevy, then 2 Fords, then 3 Chevys.
Yeah, Mark Martin is just about stopped going down the back straightaway. Matter of fact, he just puffed a big puff of smoke out of the car.
There's the interval, first, second, third. You see Jimmie Johnson now losing rather than gaining ground on the race leader.
Haven't seen this many engine failures in a couple of years now. This is unbelievable. All valve train related, you can tell.
We've found such a newfound confidence in Denny Hamlin in that 11. The guy that won 8 races in 2010, battled for the championship, felt like he suffered a hangover last year. He only won that 1 race. They made some personnel changes over there. We have seen bounce in his step all year long. And oh, by the way, he caddied for Bubba Watson in the par 3 tournament at the Masters.
Well, he's got things in hand, but I'm not going to give it to him just yet.
Nope.
I think Truex has got a little left in the tank.
0.8 of a second is the gap with 9 to go. Johnson is now 2.7 back. Matt Kenseth 6 behind, and Greg Biffle, our point leader, 5th, 12 seconds off the lead.
They got a couple of cars that are going to run up on McMurray, and I can't tell who the other car is. A couple of lap cars. Last week, Greg Biffle said, I waited till the 48 got in traffic because I knew he couldn't get through traffic and I was going to catch him. Getting ready to happen right here now.
That's David Reagan just ahead of the front 2. Jimmie Johnson with a slide, trying to hang on to it for 8 more laps here. Matt Kenseth 6.2 back. Big day for Kenseth, who started 18th in his top 5, as is his teammate, the Sprint Cup Series leader, last week's winner Greg Biffle.
You know, when the sun comes out, ruins your day. That's weird. I mean, you're supposed to have a good day when the sun comes out.
Kevin Harvick closing up on the Biff.
It's really a good recovery for Kevin Harvick, considering he ran out of fuel under green flag pit stops all the way back at lap 87.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been up near the front a good part of the day, and he is now 7th ahead of his teammate Casey Kane by about 5 seconds.
My heart rate's picking up. That 56 is going to get to 11. I tell you, they're 2 pretty equally matched cars right now. I like what Truex is doing. He is rim riding around this racetrack, but he's making time.
He's nipping away at it. They're going to come down here 6 laps to go this time.
Truex half a tenth quicker. Unless he can pick it up just a bit, he's going to run out of laps, Darrell.
I just think it's a matter of if one of them makes a mistake or not. Right now, Hamlin's got him at bay. Neither one of them can afford a mistake.
Going to catch Jeff Gordon in the 24. Of course, down a cylinder. He'll pull to the bottom, let them go by.
They are, Larry, you probably couldn't put a piece of paper between those cars and the wall right now. They are so close.
And it's about 5 car lengths with 5 to go.
And this is, you've been out here all afternoon, and now you've got to be the most precise you've been this whole race. Can't make a mistake, Michael.
How about these guys running an inch off the wall? And by the way, 32.835. They ran exactly the same time last time by. This is precision driving with everything on the line, guys.
Truex has it down to half a second.
They still have a little bit of lap traffic up in front of them. 4 to go.
It's just kind of the intervals are staying the same. That time it was an 89 to a 91. Last time it was both 84s. Not closing, not losing anything, not gaining anything.
Gained about half a car length that last lap. 4 laps to go. 4 car lengths is the separation. Truex had a little more mid-straightaway speed, but Hamlin packed it into turn 3.
Yeah, but Truex dropped it down just a half a lane. It looked like he got a little more grip. Got off of turn 4 just a little bit better that time.
He took a big chunk out that time, about a 1/10 and a half on that lap.
And Larry, it was all, he kind of dropped it down a little bit as he exited 4. He got a really nice run. Boy, this is a nail biter right here. They're going to be bumper to bumper on the white flag.
Truex dives to the bottom. Hamlin up top.
It's a bonsai.
It was a dive bomb move. And it gets Truex. Whoa, he's sideways. He was within a car length.
You know what he said? Mike, he said, this is my shot. I got to go now. I think that's all he had.
And he gave it a shot, that's for sure.
2 to go. Does Truex have one more chance?
He lost so much ground. I love what he did, but he may have done it a little too soon.
He's got to draft off that slower car. But the gap is 4 car lengths, and Denny Hamlin will face the white flag.
You know why? I like it. I think Truex thought, I'll surprise him. I'll surprise him. He thinks I'm going to do that on the last lap. I'm going to do it now.
It was the right time. It was the right move. The car just would not stick for him. One lapped car in front of them as 2 Toyotas duel to the finish on the final lap in Kansas. Jimmy Johnson 3 back. Here goes Truex again. He's going to try it right down to the bottom. They're almost even. He slides up a car length back, and that's all he's got. Denny Hamlin gets his 19th career Sprint Cup win and his 2nd of the season.
Yeah, Truex tried it, but he couldn't make it stick.
So damn proud of you. Great job, guys.
I have to agree.
Denny Hamlin led twice for 32 laps, including the final 31. On a day that tested the pit crews, the fans, everybody who was outside today in this blustery, cool day, Denny Hamlin scores the 56th Sprint Cup Series win for Joe Gibbs Racing.
There's Darian Grubb that led Tony Stewart to the 2011 Sprint Cup Series championship. Now he's led Denny Hamlin to 2 wins so far, 2012.
And look at him, all business. Is he jumping down and running and jumping and screaming? No, sir. Pack my stuff. I got home. I got work to do. I got to get ready for Richmond.
Hamlin gets his first Kansas win in his 9th start here and joins Tony Stewart as the 2nd repeat race winner of 2012.
That's what I like to see right there.
13 Kansas races. Hamlin is this track's 9th different winner. Great race for Martin Truex Jr. and a great try in those final laps.
Well, Denny Hamlin had to hold off a diving Martin Truex Jr. who dominated the race. We welcome you to the Sprint post-race show. We're just down the road from the Sprint Capital headquarters at Kansas Speedway on the 11 car in Victory Lane. The 2nd of this season for Denny Hamlin, and our Cristobal is in the middle of it all for the celebration.
The celebration ensues. Denny Hamlin sort of called his shot earlier this weekend, saying you had a good car. I know your buddy Bubba Watson wins the green jacket. You have a green car. Let's throw in one more. Earth Day. Was green the difference?
I guess so. That's one of the things. Just can't thank everyone from FedEx enough for putting this together and putting me in the driver's seat. Great day for our race team. The pit crew did amazing there on that green flag pit stop. Darren made the great call to bring me in a lap early, and just a great team effort today. Got to thank everyone from Sprint, Toyota, Coke, the Jordan brand, Nike, Wiley X, and the fans. It's just been a great weekend. We just had a solid car all week.
Well, I know you had to do it the hard way, too, fighting off a hard-charging and a very hungry Martin Truex. Are you wiped out? Are you exhausted? Did you know you had enough to hold him off?
You know, the whole time I just kept thinking of Mikey because I'm good friends with Mikey, but man, I'd love to see one of his cars win. I know how much they've put into that program. And I know Martin was driving his heart out. It's just, I know it's disappointing not to win in those situations when you have a dominant car. We just, at the end, we just tuned it in where it needed to be.
Congratulations, Denny Hamlin, a 2-time winner, Matt.
Impressive run statement type of day for Martin Truex Jr. Just how disappointing and how shocking how the sun just changed your race car right near the end.
Yeah, I don't think it was the sun. It just, we put that last set of tires on, and it wasn't anything like it'd been all day long. Just bad loose for, first 20 laps of that run, and just lost the lead. Once you lose the lead, it's hard to get it back. And it was a little better than he was at the end. Just, when he's running where you are, it's about impossible to pass him. So just got to thank everybody at MWR, Robin, Michael, everybody at Toyota, everybody on this Napa team. Chad Johnson's doing a phenomenal job, and I know we're going to get our win. Just hate giving them away like that.
The turnaround continues. Truex second here in Kansas.
Of Michael Waltrip Racing, 175 races since his last and only win, and he fought hard to the finish. Michael, we'll take away your owner hat, play the analyst role here in terms of let's look at 3 to go, right? With 31 to go, obviously Hamlin takes the lead from Martin Truex Jr., who had dominated, leading more than 170 laps, and Martin going for it here.
How about that? That's what I want to see as a race fan of NASCAR. I want to see a guy put it on the line, and he dives low. He made a little bit of time earlier low. He thought it was going to stick, but watch. Right there, took away his chance probably to win the race, Chris. He made another run at him going into 3 on the last lap, made the same move, and darn. Denny was being a little bit conservative, I'm sure, but look, Martin sideways in the corner, but yet still is able to drive right up to his quarter panel. I love that stuff. In Martin Truex's defense, he had the car out front all day long. How do you work on the car that's out front? It's running well. The sun comes out. It throws his setup off just a little bit, and that's all it took for Denny Hamlin to jump on him.
Truex brushed the sun aside, but do some drivers handle loose cars better than others?
Well, his car was really fast high, and when you're fast high, you need to be just a little bit tight. You're running so close to that wall, you can't really hang it out. You hang it out, the rear end catches the wall, so it just took his groove away and hurt his effort. I appreciate Denny saying that he felt bad for me not winning, but he didn't feel real bad.
No, he's got to win. It's all about winning. I'm glad. Look, it's nice to see guys fighting for the win. And look, Toyota, first time in victory lane here in Kansas, and they finish 1-2.
And we talked about Kenseth and Biffle. Both those guys, strong cars. We knew those Fords would come from the back. They didn't qualify well, but would race well. A couple top 5 finishes there for the Roush Fenway cars.
And Brad Keselowski, who was not really a factor all day, won this race last year, finishing 11th, and Tony Stewart working his way up to 13th.
Yeah, Brad's finding himself in quite a bit of a hole this year with some engine issues, and today the other Penske car, the 22 of Allmendinger, had an issue, but solid day for Jeff Gordon up until when his engine went away, and a lot of these guys now did have those engine problems that we talked about.
Including A.J. Allmendinger, the pole sitter, who led 44 laps, but finishing a very disappointing 32nd. Still trying to win his first race of his career. Let's check in with Dick Berggren.
Greg Biffle, another solid run. Man, what a year you're having.
Yeah, it's been a great year for us. Not the run we were really looking for. The finish we were looking for, top 5, but we felt like we'd be a little stronger than that. And, we're just off a little bit today. And those.
In what way? How was it off?
Just sliding the nose and couldn't get the power down. And the track was a little slicker for us. But, to come home 5th and have a little bit of an off day, we're pretty happy about that.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Dick. And there's your points leader, who maintained his spot 15 ahead. It's a career high point for Martin Truex Jr., who is up to second. Also, Carl Edwards moves into the top 10 for the first time this year, moving up a couple of notches.
Yeah, and Ryan Newman into the top 10, got a win and in the top 10 in points. So the Stewart-Haas team looking well in the top 10.
And remember, you want to be, when we get down to that chase time, you got to be in the top 20 and then win some races with a chance to get into the chase. We have a long way to go, but you see why that certainly is important for a guy like Brad Keselowski, who already has a win. Kyle Busch does not have a win, Michael, and as we bring back Darrell Larry and Mike, let's think about 8 races in and still no wins yet for Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, but 2 wins now for Denny Hamlin and Tony Stewart.
Well, Darrell, doesn't it seem that the more you need a win this year, the harder it is to get one?
Yeah, and these teams are doing great. Hendrick had 3 cars in the top 10. Roush Fenway had 3 cars in the top 10 and 2 Gibbs cars in the top 10. But another fast race. We averaged 140 miles an hour around this joint. Not a lot of cautions, but a lot of great racing.
No, record for fewest cautions, and Larry, you called it. Darian Grubb bringing Denny Hamlin in 1 lap before Martin Truex made all the difference.
Well, we saw that was about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. Plus, I think, like Denny Hamlin said, his pit crew had a great stop. Denny did a great job of getting in and out. And then, of course, Martin Truex Jr.'s car had went away just a little bit there.
All right, as Denny Hamlin celebrates, let's hear from Steve Burns.
It's a long way to Richmond.
Jimmy Johnson finishes 3rd, and Jimmy, I listen to you guys on the radio a lot, and you really had to chase this racetrack. You guys had to make a lot of adjustments.
We did.
we had good speed. We could run, second or third all day long, but to catch the 56, we needed more, and we worked real hard through the middle part of the race. Got a lot of speed, and could get to him. I just couldn't pass him. I was hopeful we could do it on pit road or some other, scenario, but we came in, a lot of those guys stayed out, which, was some strategy on our behalf just to do something different. I don't think it hurt us any. Maybe cost us a spot, but I don't think that's really the case. The 11 went up there and passed the 56 and won the race. So great day. We ran where we should, and just need a little bit more to race for the win.
Looking forward to Richmond?
I am. Richmond's been hit or miss for me, and I really feel good about our race cars and what we've learned here in the recent time, and I think it's really going to help my car at Richmond. It's something that I've needed there, and ready to go short track racing. I love that place.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Well, Matt Kenseth, another top 5 finish. That's 4 in the last 5 starts. What's the magic here?
It's all the guys that work on this car. So Jimmy and them guys did a great job on this Ford EcoBoost Fusion. It was I was not happy with it all weekend, and they made a lot of changes this morning and last night, and it drove a lot better today. So we're just we're a little bit off. I got that one just horrendously awful restart in the middle of the race, and just could never quite get it exactly right. But it was a good day for us.
How about the driver? Grade the driver today.
I give him about a C. I had a pretty good car, and I just, on that restart, we gave up 4 or 5 spots, and it's really fun. It's too bad they got to tear this up because of all the different grooves you can run depending on how your car is handled. It really makes it fun as a driver, and thought it was some great racing. So I was glad to be part of it. I wish I could have been up there with Martin and Denny and duked it out with them, but it was a good day for us.
Well, I think your fans will give you a whole lot better than a C. Congratulations on another top 5.
Driver of the 17 car. If you're into numbers, that number 11, that 11 car, the 199th win for the 11 car. Of course, DW, Cale Yarborough contributing as Denny Hamlin tops it off. The 43 number, second on that list. The 56 number, Jim Hertzeby, the only driver, 1966, with a Cup win on that number.